What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 8TR Chapter 141. Nobita and Xiao Li, the black-faced Mizuki. Seeing the giant palm approaching, Rock Shinobi's expression on the shore changed drastically. The earth flow wall just now was disintegrated by the impact carried by the giant palm before it even made contact. This shows how powerful Hinata's move is. At this time, Kuretsuchi stood up. She had to stand up. There were many genin watching the battle, and they were too slow to escape in time. Earth style. Earth flow wall. Another earth wall rose. Everyone looked at it and shook their heads. They knew that the earth flow wall couldn't stop it, but they still used it. Isn't it heartless? Where Cloud Shinobi was, the lollipop in Omoi's mouth fell to the ground and he said, "It's over." The people around him glanced at him, knowing that this guy was about to start worrying unfoundedly again. This is Tsuchikage's granddaughter. She is dead now. After her death, Tsuchikage will definitely go crazy and blame us outside the village. He will order all the rock shinobi to attack us, and the two sides will start a war. Then the situation escalated and the Fourth Ninja World War broke out. The entire continent was sunk, all ninjas died, and the ninja world was destroyed. The surrounding Cloud Shinobi rolled their eyes. Several Shao Ninja Village spectators not far away also looked sideways. Killer Bee punched Omoi on the head. "Ah, it hurts." "Teacher, why did you hit me suddenly?" Killer Bee stretched out his right hand forward and started singing. "Hey, it's a taboo for ninjas to underestimate others. Only by watching more and talking less will you make progress, oye." Reikage took over the topic and said, "Onoki's granddaughter is definitely not a brainless muscular person. She must have a backup plan for doing this. We just have to watch." As expected, Kuretsuchi over there displayed a new ninjutsu. Earth style. Super heavy rock technique. The earth flow wall was made heavier by her extra weight rock technique. As the weight increases, defense and strength immediately increase. After completing the two techniques, the giant palm has already arrived. The next moment, the giant palm bombarded the front of the earth flow wall. Boom! The earth flow wall did not collapse, but was continuously pushed backwards by the impact of the giant palm. The two were advancing and retreating, like two fat sumo men wrestling in the ring. Although the earth flow wall could not completely stop the giant palm's progress, it greatly slowed down the speed and created an opportunity for the rock shinobi genin behind to escape. "Take advantage of now and hide in a safe place immediately." Kuretsuchi said hello, and the rock shinobi behind them all moved aside, and Kuretsuchi also dodged immediately. The giant palm continued to push the earth flow wall, moving forward firmly and steadily, and finally hit the cliff on one side of the valley, and stopped only after being blocked by the thick mountain. This earth flow wall finally couldn't bear it anymore and broke into pieces. The giant palm continued to push forward, and a handprint several meters thick appeared on the mountain before the giant palm disappeared. The whole mountain was shaking slightly. The terrifying power shocked everyone. Fourth Reikage couldn't help but think, if he faced this palm, could he not retreat even one step? Can it escape unscathed? Looking at the earth flow wall that was broken into rubble all over the ground and the palm prints that appeared on the mountain cliff, Fourth Reikage felt that it would be a bit awkward for him to accept this palm forcefully. He couldn't help but look at Hinata again. This little girl from the Byakugan family can casually create such a terrifying attack. What secret technique has she mastered? And her eyes, what's going on? Reikage's face was solemn. He recalled carefully, but he still had no memory of these eyes. Is it the secret of the Hyuga clan, or is it because of Mizuki? Reikage glanced at Mizuki, and the solemn look in his eyes deepened. At this time, Hinata on the lake had not yet recovered. Advertisement: she is about to cry. Unexpectedly, just using the magic chakra to launch 8 trigrams air palm would cause such serious consequences. So scary. Neji ni. Thinking of Neji who was vomiting blood and flying upside down, Hinata became even more worried. At this time, Mizuki asked, "The first competition is over, is it time to announce it?" Akatsuki hurriedly said, "The first match of the Chunin exam semifinals, Hyuga Neji vs Hyuga Hinata. The winner is Hyuga Hinata." Neji lost. Hinata returned to the shore. She restrained her senjutsu chakra, and her eyes immediately returned to white eyes. Looking at Neji who had recovered, Hinata breathed a sigh of relief. But she immediately became nervous again and explained, "Brother Neji, I didn't mean it, and in this competition, you should win, Brother Neji. After all, Brother Neji hasn't used chakra yet, otherwise I would definitely not be a match for Brother Neji." Neji smiled and shook his head and said, "No, Hinata, your strength exceeds mine." Hinata shook her head. "No, I just got the upper hand." Neji said, "Yes, I also have the Senju chakra, but even if I use the Senju chakra, my eyes are still white." "Eyes?" Hinata was confused. Neji explained, "Just now, your eyes turned blue. I can feel that there is powerful energy in your eyes. The reason why your 8 trigrams air palm is so powerful is not only because of the magical chakra, but also because of your eyes." Upon hearing this, Hinata activated the Senjutsu chakra again and injected it into her eyes. She walked to the shore, looked down into the water, and then saw her changed eyes. Why is this happening? Why do the white eyes change? Hinata also felt that there was indeed powerful power in her eyes. At this time Naruto turned to Mizuki and asked, Master, do you know these eyes? Mizuki asked. Why do you think I know what these eyes are? Naruto scratched his head and chuckled. In my impression, Master knows everything. Mizuki smiled and nodded. I do know these eyes. As you already know, Sharingan's ultimate evolution is Rinnegan. Actually, Byakugan can also evolve. Hinata's eyes, called Tenseigan, are powerful eyes that can only be obtained after the ultimate evolution of the Byakugan. Tenseigan, like Rinnegan, is very powerful. I didn't expect that Hinata would be able to activate the Tenseigan under the influence of the Senjutsu Chakra. This was indeed something Mizuki had not expected. Moreover, Hinata turned it on, but Neji couldn't. This made Mizuki unable to understand the principle. Tenseigan, as powerful as Rinnegan? Hinata, you are so powerful. Naruto gave a thumbs up. Hinata's face immediately turned red, and she even had the tendency to smoke. Naruto. Naruto-kun, you are also very powerful. Seeing this, Naruto asked in confusion. Hinata, why are you blushing? Are you injured just now and now you have a fever? After saying that, he directly reached out and touched Hinata's forehead. This time, Hinata couldn't hold on any longer and passed out. Hey, why did you faint, Master? Hinata was seriously injured and passed out. I immediately took her back to Phoenix Village to seek treatment from Granny Tsunade. Mizuki was speechless. Neji on the side had a cold face and looked at Naruto with a knife in his eyes. If looks could kill, Naruto would have grass 3 meters high on his grave. The first game ended on a high note, and the second game began immediately. Akatsuchi announced. The second game, Phoenix Village Nobita vs Konoha Village Rock Lee. Mizuki's face turned ugly when he saw the match list. The thing I was most worried about happened. Nobita is his disciple, and so is Xiao Li. Advertisement. Mizuki hopes that both of them can pass this Chunin exam and become Chunin. Who would have thought that the two of them would encounter each other, and no matter what the outcome was, one of them would be eliminated in the end. If one less disciple becomes a Chunin, the system will have fewer disciples. He narrowed his eyes and planned to forcefully change the battle quota. Anyway, it would be enough not to let Naruto, Nobita, and Xiao Li encounter each other in the exam. Anyone who dares to object will be beaten until he agrees. But at this moment, the system suddenly issued a reminder. Host, please note that you must not forcibly interfere with the progress of the Chunin exam, otherwise all results will be invalid. Close black lens bracket. Mizuki. Dog system, all F***KU. Damn you, are you being too lenient? Mizuki is about to explode. This is so F***G special. You can't even change the battle quota? System. The Chunin exam has begun. Host is not allowed to make any disruptive behavior that violates the rules. Close black lens bracket. Mizuki. I'll just change the battle quota, it's not a big problem. The system strictly said. Absolutely not, close black lens bracket. If the host uses forceful means to violate the exam rules, it will affect the final competition judging. Close black lens bracket. Your strength will be deeply rooted in people's hearts, so that in the final judgment, others will have to promote your disciple to Chunin, even if that disciple is not up to Chunin level. Close black lens bracket. What kind of gangster logic? Mizuki looked cold and didn't want to talk anymore. What a hassle. But when the system said this, Mizuki couldn't intervene in the competition and could only watch Nobita and Xiao Li take the field. My heart is bleeding, but I can only endure it silently. Nobita and Xiao Li formed a seal of opposition and the battle began. Li, come on, bloom your youth, guys shouted from the shore. The thumbs up and the shining teeth instantly became the focus of the audience. Hi, teacher guy, I will not let my youth down, Xiao Li replied seriously. He looked at Nobita and said seriously, my name is Rock Lee, from Konoha, please give me your advice. Nobita. My name is Nobita. I come from Fengwang Village, please give me your advice. Kitu announced. The competition has officially begun. As soon as he finished speaking, Xiao Li disappeared in the same place. Only the fluctuation of the water surface showed that there was someone standing here just now. What a fast speed. Nobita looked shocked. With his eyesight, he couldn't see Xiao Li's movements clearly. He bit the mark on his finger. With the blessing of the celestial art chakra, Nobita's power has reached a terrifying level, which is no worse than Tsunade's strange power. I should have grabbed his ankle just now and attacked with my right hand. With a reverse wave of his hand, Xiao Li was thrown out. Ninpo. Summoning technique. Xiao Li landed on the water dozens of meters away and slid backwards for a long time. Hey, is it finally my turn for the Viscount to appear? Little Nobita, where is the enemy? After beating Xiao Li away, Nobita regretted it. The white smoke dissipates and the watermelon appears. In this way, we can't attack head-on, we must take advantage of speed. Knowing that I am powerful, he will definitely not dare to confront me head-on. Bang! It seems that I can only summon watermelon. He knew that with his own strength, he was definitely no match for Xiao Li. What a terrifying power! Xiao Li was shocked. The magical chakra was activated, and Nobita's aura changed. The next moment, he instinctively raised his left hand, just in time to block Xiao Li's sidekick. Nobita has never experienced much fighting, so he lacks combat experience and missed the good opportunity just now. The trump card must be played. Chapter 142. Ultra Instinct, the cute fused cat person. Nobita shook his head and said, not an enemy, but an opponent. Following Nobita's eyes, Zigwa turned around and saw Xiao Li. What kind of weird shape is this? Zigwa looked at Xiao Li with contempt, especially Xiao Li's pot head, which made Zigwa have the urge to stretch out his paw and pat it. Xiao Li looked serious and said, summon this cute cat as a helper? Then come on and let your youth bloom freely. Watermelon was angry. Stupid human, who do you think is cute? I am the Viscount of the extraordinary cat clan, and I hold a high position. How dare you despise me? I will scratch your stupid face, meow. The next moment, Zigwa jumped out, very fast, and was in front of Xiao Li in an instant. The claws scratched Xiao Li's face. Xiao Li was already on guard and took action immediately. Leaf Hurricane. He raised his leg and kicked sideways, switching from defense to offense. HMPH, your actions are not impressive enough in my eyes. Too slow, meow. Zigwa's face was full of contempt, and he exerted a little force on his feet. The moment the water rippled slightly, it had already turned behind Xiao Li. Your movement speed is quite fast, but compared with me, you are still far behind. Your reaction speed, in my eyes, is simply too slow to be described in words. Just human beings are all slow responsive idiots. At this point, it suddenly thought of Mizuki and the humiliating memory suppressed by Mizuki in Kamui's space. He is a noble ninja cat, but his nerve reaction speed is suppressed by a human. What a disgrace. Therefore, it wanted to vent all its frustrations on Xiao Li. It raised its claws, preparing to strike 30 times in 1 second, beating the annoying human brat in front of it to the point where it would kneel down and beg for mercy. However, the moment it took action, Xiao Li in front moved. The right arm suddenly swung back. Zigwa's face was shocked. Xiao Li's attack came quickly and suddenly, and it was unexpected. It hurriedly jumped back to avoid it, not daring to be aggressive. It was frightened by Xiao Li's reaction. It was afraid that Xiao Li might have another attack, so it didn't attack forcefully. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Zigwa stood on the water and looked at Xiao Li in surprise. From the look in your eyes, I can see that your reaction speed is not much faster than that of ordinary humans. You can't even react to my attack. Why, can you fight back, meow? Zigwa didn't understand very much. Xiao Li turned around and said seriously, that's right, your movements are so quick that my brain can't react. Although I can see your movements, my brain has no time to transmit signals to the limbs to control the body's response. Zigwa was confused. Since you couldn't react, why did you fight back so quickly just now? Xiao Li still looked serious, with clear stupidity in his eyes. Just listen to him saying quietly, my brain can't react, but that doesn't mean my body can't react. Are you talking about your mother, meow? If your brain doesn't respond, how will your body respond, meow? Zigwa didn't understand at all. Not only did Zigwa not understand, but neither did the people around him. The only people who understand are Mizuki and Li's teacher Might Guy. Mizuki's mouth opened slightly, his eyes filled with disbelief. I lost it, right? Is this Ultra Instinct? Mizuki couldn't help but exclaimed, attracting the attention of many people. Advertisement Might Guy turned to look at Mizuki and murmured in a low voice, he actually knows about Ultra Instinct? Mizuki was shocked. Did Xiao Li really understand Ultra Instinct? Judging from Xiao Li's reaction just now, it seems that he has indeed surpassed his limits and accomplished things that ordinary people cannot do. Facing an attack from behind, the eyes cannot see it and the brain cannot react, but the body instinctively fights back. This seems, really, to be Ultra Instinct. Just by telling him the concept of Ultra Instinct, he can understand it? Do you want to be so exaggerated? To be honest, Mizuki is a little jealous. At this time, where Konoha Shinobi was, Kakashi asked in confusion, Guy, what is Ultra Instinct? Not only Kakashi, but also everyone else looked at Guy curiously. They all heard Mizuki exclaiming, Ultra Instinct, and Guy murmuring just now. Facing everyone's confused looks, Guy explained, I heard from Xiao Li that this is an advanced physical technique taught to him by Sage of Six Paths, called Ultra Instinct. Ultra Instinct is a super powerful physical technique that exceeds the SSS level. It is a divine control technique. After completing the cultivation, you can kill gods. The principle is very simple. It relies on conditioned reflex movements of various parts of the body to maximize movement speed and reaction ability. The body and consciousness are separated, allowing each part of the body to transcend instinct to perceive the dangers around it, and respond directly without the brain thinking first. Li only has a preliminary understanding, but his current physical skills have surpassed mine. He can even close his eyes and use physical skills to fight me. After Guy finished speaking, he gave a thumbs up directly in the direction of Xiao Li, his teeth and hair shining. Kakashi. This? Everyone else was also shocked. Jiraiya was speechless, it felt unreal. When the ninjas from other surrounding villages heard what Guy said, they all despised him and thought Guy was talking nonsense. On the court, Zigwa said, pretending to be a ghost, and then attacked again. It put away its contempt and became 100% focused and absorbed. Its limbs, tail, and teeth are all offensive weapons, and its movements are so agile and fast that it dazzles onlookers. Except for Mizuki, who can completely see its movements through Sharingan, no one else on the field can see clearly. Everyone only knew that it was fast, but they couldn't understand how fast it was. This cat. I can't see its movements clearly at all. If I fight it with physical skills, I will never survive for a second. Too horrible. Mizuki Terumi Mei, 4th Raikage I, Jiraiya, Kakashi, Guy. These top masters in the ninja world all looked solemn at this time. They put themselves on the field and found that if they were on the field, facing this cat, they would be no match in terms of physical skills. Even someone as strong in physical skills as Guy thought he couldn't keep up with Zigwa's reaction. Zigwa's physical skills are so powerful that everyone feels inferior to them. However, Zigwa's opponent, Xiao Li, was able to dodge with ease under Zigwa's powerful attack. It was simply shocking. No matter how many times Zigwa takes action in 1 second or how many times he adjusts his attack angle, Xiao Li easily dodges and counterattacks from time to time. In everyone's eyes, they can only see that one person and one cat in the field are constantly moving, but they can't understand what actions they are doing. The only one who could see clearly was Mizuki. Gaara on the side was extremely shocked. The last time he took the Chunin exam in Konoha, although Xiao Li was strong, he was still defeated by him in the end. But now, Gaara feels that her absolute defense may not be able to prevent Xiao Li's attack. He sighed. I'm afraid I won't be able to match him again. Advertisement, it's really strong, Naruto also exclaimed. On the field, the battle continues. One person and one cat attack and defend each other at super high speeds, but no one can do anything to the other. As for Nobita, he could only watch from the sidelines. Although he possesses chakra, he only knows the 3-body technique and has no foundation in physical skills, so he can't get involved at all. Even if he goes up, it will only cause trouble for Watermelon. The battle lasted for 10 minutes, and the two sides suddenly separated. They were both breathing heavily, looking at each other with eyes filled with desire to fight. Human, you are very strong. If we keep fighting like this, it will be difficult for us to tell the winner. So, I can only use my trump card. Zigwa was full of fighting spirit, and he attached great importance to his opponent Xiao Li. He no longer mentioned me as the Viscount when he spoke, and even omitted the word, meow. Xiao Li said seriously, I'm looking forward to it. Zigwa nodded and pushed to Nobita's side in a few steps. I can't defeat him alone, now you have two choices. The first option is to summon other members of my clan. Even if there is another Viscount of the same level as me, he will definitely not be an opponent if we join forces. The second option is that you merge with me. After the merger, the speed and strength reaction will be superimposed, which is enough to defeat him. It gave two choices, and then said, I hope you choose the second one. Other members of my race are not as easy to talk to as me. If summoning comes out, they may not necessarily help you. Nobita looked confused. Of course I choose the second one, but how to combine them together? Zigwa jumped up and landed on Nobita's back. Make the seals in the order I told you. Mao Cho Hai Wei Wu Zi Hai Shu Mao Zi. Nobita started to form seals as Zigwa said. When the seal was completed, there was a bang sound, and white smoke filled the air. When the white smoke dissipated, a catman appeared. This is a combination of Nobita and Watermelon. Cat ears, cat tail, cat beard, cat eyes, and hands and feet have all turned into cat claws. Other than that, they are all specially made by humans. The overall look is a little weird, but very harmonious. It's so cute. The cat's ears are moving, as if you can touch them. The female ninjas around them all had stars in their eyes. Mizuki smiled, but he didn't expect Zigwa to have such a method. It has the same effect as the Inuzuka clan's hybrid human-animal transformation technique. This extraordinary ninja cat clan is not only strong in single body skills, but can also combine with ninjas. It is indeed right to find such a summoning beast clan for Nobita. If I have time, I have to use the reverse summoning technique to go to Meowstar. Zigwa is just a Viscount, and he is already so strong. How strong should the Count, Marquis, and Duke be? At this time, the battle started again. But this time, the combined strength of Nobita and Watermelon is stronger than that of Watermelon alone. When one person and one cat merge, their strength, speed, and reflexes are greatly enhanced. Watermelon itself is very strong. With the blessing of Chakra, Nobita's strength and speed are not weak. When combined with it, the effect is very good. Xiao Li, who was on the opposite side, finally came to a disadvantage in the physical duel. It looks like Nobita is going to win, Gaara said. Mizuki shook his head. Not necessarily, he hasn't used the 8 inner gates yet, and he may have other means. He could see that although Xiao Li was at a disadvantage, his face was very calm and there was no trace of anxiety at all. After being hit by Nobita's fist again, Xiao Li flew out upside down, glided on the water for a long time, slapped the water with both hands, backflips and stood up again. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and turned to look at Might Guy with solicitation in his eyes. Guy raised his right hand and said, Li Yo, youth is an unyielding battle. Go ahead and do your best. The next moment, Li squatted slightly and opened his trousers, revealing the weights tied to his calves. Chapter 143. Wonderful Physical Combat, the Superior Xiao Li. On the shore, Kakashi was speechless. It's a familiar scene again. The next moment, Xiao Li stood up straight and gently relaxed his hands. Boom! The water surface exploded into violent waves. In this case, the body will feel much more relaxed. Xiao Li moved his legs and said seriously. The next moment, he turned into a green light and quickly came behind Nobita. Leaf Great Whirlwind. A whip kick to the back of Nobita's neck. Nobita turned sideways slightly, curled his long tail towards Xiao Li's other leg, and at the same time raised his foot to kick Xiao Li's abdomen. The speed has become faster, even surpassing me, but in my eyes, it is still not fast enough, meow. This is the voice of Zigwa. Xiao Li immediately changed his tactics and did not dare to confront anyone head-on. With the blessing of Chakra, Nobita's strength and defense are very strong. In a head-to-head encounter, Xiao Li will definitely suffer. Xiao Li used super-fast speed, dodged left and advanced right, attacking up and kicking down. I saw him moving quickly, looking for suitable opportunities. But Dasham's defense was impeccable, and Xiao Li couldn't find a suitable opportunity at all. No matter what angle he attacks from, Nobita will react immediately and make a reasonable response. Gradually, Xiao Li's physical strength was greatly exhausted. On the other hand, Dashang breaks with silence and consumes very little. Looking at the battle on the field, Naruto said, although Xiao Li is faster than Nobita and Zigwa, it's a pity that Zigwa's reaction is too fast, his defense is flawless, and Xiao Li doesn't dare to fight hard. If this continues, Xiao Li will lose. Neji and Gaara shook their heads together. Neji said, no, Nobita has already used all his cards, but Xiao Li still has a stronger method yet to be used. Mizuki said, Xiao Li still has 8 inner gates. Nobita is destined to lose this competition. 8 inner gates, what are they? Naruto asked curiously. Mizuki didn't explain much, just said, there are 8 gates in the human body that bind chakra. By unlocking these 8 gates, you can temporarily gain powerful power. The more doors you open, the more power you gain. If all 8 gates are opened, you will gain dozens of times more power than a cage-level expert. But after the 8th gate of death is opened, it cannot be closed, and the practitioner will eventually die due to exhaustion of life force. Naruto's eyes lit up after hearing this. He asked, if there is a lot of life force, will it not die? Mizuki smiled and said, yes, that's true. Naruto said excitedly, Master, can I learn the 8 inner gates technique? Mizuki shook his head. The 8th gate in the human body cannot be opened just by wanting to open it. It takes hard training day after day to slowly strengthen the body to reach the conditions for activation. Only taijutsu ninjas have that foundation. In your words, it's not necessary at all. As Mizuki spoke, he continued to watch the battle. Xiao Li tried many times but still couldn't find an opportunity, so he stopped attacking and retreated. He stood on the water, his body still. Mizuki sighed. If Nobita hadn't met Xiao Li, with Zigwa's super physical skills, he might not have lost. It's a pity that I just met Xiao Li, and he was the one who initially understood Ultra Instinct. There is no solution. What, you know it's useless, so you gave up? Meow? Zigwa's voice is always so mean? He looks like a superior master, no matter who he is, he looks down on him. In that case, quickly admit defeat. Advertisement. Xiao Li's face is neither sad nor happy, always so clear. He shook his head and said, no, Meow-san, youth cannot be given up. Next, I will use 8 inner gates, be careful. 8 inner gates, the first gate, open the door, open. Second gate, close the door and open it. Third gate, the living gate, open. Xiao Li's body began to glow with green light. He did not continue to open more doors. Opening to the living door was enough. The next moment, Xiao Li started to move. On Zigwa's side, before he could see where the person was, he was kicked into the air. Before he could react, he was kicked in the back again and fell rapidly. Next, Nobita was like a ball, being kicked around in the air, once left, once right, once forward, once backward. Damn it, meow. Why is he so fast? I can't even see him. This is impossible, meow. Zigwa shouted loudly, but it could not change the outcome of being beaten. Hinata asked worriedly, Nobita-kun, is he okay? Naruto smiled and said, don't worry Hinata, it's okay. Even if he dies, Master can revive him. After saying this, Hinata immediately stopped worrying. Looking at Gaara again, her face looked a little ugly. When he was in Konoha, it was also the semifinals of the Chunin exam. When he faced off against Xiao Li, he suffered a series of blows from Xiao Li, and they were all blinded at the time. Now, looking at Nobita who was beaten in the same way, Gaara felt like he was pulled out of the coffin and whipped after death. On the field, although Nobita's defense was super strong with the blessing of the magical chakra, it was a bit too much after such continuous blows. Bones begin to break and muscles begin to damage and bleed. Take my last blow. Xiao Li appeared above Nobita again and kicked Nobita downwards. After only falling a few meters, Nobita's body suddenly stopped, and Xiao Li also stopped in midair. At this time, everyone finally saw Xiao Li's movements clearly. I saw his left hand holding a bandage connected to Nobita below. The 4th injury door, open, 5th Duman, open. Then, he pulled hard, and Nobita's body was pulled by the bandage and flew towards him again at an extremely fast speed. With the force of the bandage pulling back, Xiao Li also entered a super high speed of movement again, even faster than before. The two approached at extremely high speeds and were face to face in an instant. With this one blow, the game is over. Rarenka. His feet, as fast as lightning, hit Nobita's chest with a roar. Nobita fell into the hot spring water instantly like a falling meteor, with splashes reaching tens of meters high. A huge wave 10 meters high spread in all directions. It can be seen how terrifying the power of Xiao Li's attack just now was. When the water waves subsided, Xiao Li fell on the water and gasped for air. He suffered multiple muscle tears and a broken leg. The effect of force is mutual. His attack will have a counterattack force when it hits Nobita. If it were an ordinary ninja, the counterattack would not be that strong. But Nobita possesses the magical power chakra, and his body defense has been strengthened. Both his muscles and bones are stronger and the counterattack force is stronger. Xiao Li didn't show any joy until he saw Nobita rising from the water and floating on the water, unconscious, and he breathed a sigh of relief. With a bang, the combination of Nobita and Zigwa ended because they were knocked unconscious. One person and one cat, all unconscious, floating on the water. Xiao Li himself couldn't hold on any longer. He was about to fall down as soon as his body tilted. Advertisement just then, Guy appeared and held him up. Teacher Guy, this time I lived up to your expectations, I won. Guy gave a thumbs up and said with a smile, good job, Lee. Just then, Mizuki also appeared in the center of the lake. Guy is on alert immediately. On the shore, Jiraiya, Kakashi and others also became nervous. Everyone thought, Mizuki wouldn't take revenge on Xiao Li because the genin in his village was knocked unconscious, right? Of course Mizuki would not do that, but picked up the unconscious Nobita and watermelon. At this time, Nobita's chest was sunken, not to mention how miserable he was. If it weren't for the magical power of chakra, he would have died long ago. On the other hand, watermelon is much better, with no visible injuries on the body surface. Before returning to the shore, Mizuki said to Xiao Li, Li, you are very good, keep working hard. After that, he returned to the shore. He injected life force into Nobita's body, and Nobita's injuries recovered at an extremely fast speed. The watermelon was thrown aside and ignored. Soon Nobita recovered from his injuries and woke up. Master, how is the watermelon? Nobita asked anxiously, looking at the unconscious watermelon on the ground. Mizuki smiled and said, it's very good at pretending. After saying that, Zigwa opened his eyes and stopped pretending to be unconscious. HMPH, what's wrong with me pretending to be unconscious, meow? If you don't pretend to be unconscious, why don't you continue fighting with that pervert, meow? My lord is still very young. I don't want to die yet, NYA. Mizuki didn't say anything about it, but said, the fusion technique of your extraordinary ninja cat clan is quite good. He could see that the cat was really not injured at all. In other words, after it merged with Nobita, all the injuries were borne by Nobita alone. Mizuki became curious about the effect of this combined technique. Seeing Mizuki's eyes burning, Zigwa immediately said, hey, what do you want to do? Don't make up your mind. It's useless to fight. This combination technique is unique to our clan. You won't be able to use it even if you learn it. Mizuki shook his head and said nothing more. On the other side of Konoha, Jiraiya, Kakashi and others were silent. Although Xiao Li won, their focus was on Nobita. Nobita, an orphan from the original Konoha orphanage. Mizuki rebelled before the Chunin exam and took him away with him. Half an hour later, Baki lost his left hand, escaped from the encirclement, and fled towards Sand Shinobi village. Although he mainly relied on the ninja cat in this battle, summoning Mon is also part of his strength. At the same time, hundreds of miles south of Rock Shinobi village, Sand Shinobi and his party, led by Baki, were moving quickly towards the Land of Wind. You want to start a war? Just wait. Before leaving Konoha, he was still an ordinary person, but in just a few months, he had the power he has now. It's outrageous. Mizuki was able to train ordinary people to such an extent in just a few months. How did he do it? Konoha knows the past of everyone in Phoenix Village very well. The game continues, but the enemy didn't say much nonsense at all and started attacking directly. Suddenly, Baki stopped and raised his hand to signal everyone to stop being alert. Damn Rock Shinobi. Damn Tsuchikage Onoki. There's a lot of chakra aura in the rocks ahead. Not only in front, but also on the left and right, and even behind, the aura of chakra appeared. Many Konoha Shinobi fans are also puzzled. At the end of the battle, Akatsuchi announced, the second match, the winner is Rock Lee of Konoha Village. Although Nobita was an orphan before and had poor ninja qualifications, so he was not accepted into the ninja school, but being taken away by Mizuki is worthy of Konoha's attention. Next, the third semifinal of the Chunin exam. Who is it? Why are you blocking us? Baki shouted coldly. Senin Village Gurin vs Cloud Shinobi Village Samui. Chapter 144. The end of the semifinals, Shenyunt. The third semifinal of the Chunin exam ended quickly. Gurin of the Senin Village masters the Bloodline Limited Crystal style and is extremely good in both attack and defense. Samui from Cloud Shinobi Village is just an ordinary ninja, and his strength is not outstanding. Not long after the battle began, the surface of the hot spring lake was filled with red crystals. Sammy didn't even have a place to stay, so he had no choice but to admit defeat. The fourth match of the Chunin exam, Fengwang Village Minazuki Haku vs Senin Village Ghost Light Suigetsu. After Kitu announced, Suigetsu's face turned pale. Damn it, he's actually from the Shui Wuyue clan, what a slap in the face. Shueui shouted directly. I surrender. Gurren had just won a match, and when he saw Suigetsu admitting defeat, he taunted. Didn't you say before you came that the Chunin exam would be easy? Shuei said in frustration. I didn't know there were so many perverts before I came here. Actually, the others are fine, but the ice escape bloodline limit of the Mizuki clan is too restrained for me. My hydration technique will only suffer death in front of ice escape. Instead of going out and seeking death, it's better to admit defeat. My dream has not been completed yet, how could I die so early? Gurren curled her lips. Cut, cowards, just be afraid of death, what nonsense are you dreaming about? At the location of the Kirigakure ninja, Mizuki Tsurumi Mei glanced at Suigetsu and then at Shiro. Suigetsu from the Oneiden clan, and that young boy from the Minazuki clan, my good seedlings from Kirigakure, have all gone to other villages. It's all the fault of the fourth generation, and the people behind the control of the fourth generation, for their blood mist policy, which caused the bloodline family in Kirigakure to be almost wiped out. After sighing, she looked at Shuei and Bai several times. Phoenix Village is not easy to mess with, but that Senin Village doesn't look that good. She lowered her forehead slightly and stuck out her tongue to lick her lips, looking extremely charming. After the Chunin exams are over, bring Suigetsu back to Kirigakure. It's okay if the others don't have any objections, but if they dare to have any objections, then kill them. The fourth test was over before it even started. Shuei became the first to admit defeat. Then, in the fifth game, Konoha Tenten vs Cloud Shinobi Village Karui. This competition finally became a bit normal. There are no bloodline boundaries, no powerful secrets, and no terrifying movements. In the end, Karui won. Dafa is littered with ninja tools every day, and its shortcomings are too obvious. Moreover, the battle is on water, which is a great advantage for Cloud Shinobi who masters the lightning style. In the sixth game, Phoenix Village Gaara vs Konoha Village, the second-hand man immediately admitted defeat at Jiraiya's signal. The seventh game, Cloud Shinobi Village Omoi vs Senninmura Jugo. At the beginning of the battle, Omoi had the upper hand, and Jugo had almost no power to fight back. But while he was being beaten, Zhangwu suddenly went berserk and entered the second state of the curse seal, becoming neither human nor ghost. His strength has also increased several times. Omoi immediately fell into a disadvantage and was quickly defeated. If Killer Bee hadn't saved him, he would have been beaten to death by Jugo. At this point, the semifinals of the Chunin exam are over. 15 people, except Naruto who had a bye, the remaining 14 people organized a total of 7 competitions, and finally decided on 7 winners. Akatsuki. The finalists will be announced next: Uzumaki Naruto, Hyuga Hinata, Minazuki Shiro, Gaara from Phoenix Village, Rock Lee from Konoha Village, Gurren and Jugo from Senin Village, and Karui from Cloud Shinobi Village. The Chunin exam finals will be held in half a month. The finalists will be drawn now. Soon, the extraction results appeared. The first match of the finals, Phoenix Village Uzumaki Naruto vs Phoenix Village Gaara. The first game roster was out, and Mizuki immediately breathed a sigh of relief. He was not afraid of anything else, he was just afraid that if Naruto met Xiao Li, he would really be grateful. So far so good, advertisement Akato continued to announce. The second match of the finals, Phoenix Village Hyuga Hinata vs Senin Village Gurren. The third match, Konoha Village Rock Lee vs Senin Marora Jugo. The fourth match, Phoenix Village Minazuki Haku vs Cloud Shinobi Village Karui. The Chunin exam semifinals are finally over. In Tsuchikage's office, Onoki walked around with his hands behind his back. Suddenly, he paused. It seems that some kind of determination has been made. I decided that Mizuki must be killed. I will do it myself, using my dust release technique. When the Chen escape is activated, it will be silent. You can launch a sneak attack at night while he is sleeping. Elder A. Is the risk too great? If Mizuki stays awake and the raid fails, and he takes revenge afterwards, our Rock Shinobi village may be destroyed. Not to mention Mizuki, that Uzumaki Naruto also has the Flying Thunder God. It's very difficult to kill them by surprise. After all, the Flying Thunder God technique doesn't even require a seal, it can be activated instantly. And Master Tsuchikage, your dust release technique is not activated instantly. The enemy has time to react. Elder B went to Fengwang village and reported what he saw and heard when he came back. The huge meteorite floating in the sky that day made Rock Shinobi executives even more fearful of Mizuki's strength. If it weren't for the fear of Mizuki's strength, Onoki would have been unable to resist taking action. Now that Onoki proposed a sneak attack at night, the elders immediately became worried. It's a good thing if the sneak attack succeeds, but if it fails, Rock Shinobi village may really be doomed. Onoki frowned and asked, I've asked you to think of a solution these days, have you thought of it? Elder A. I have an idea. Onoki, tell me about it. Elder A. Choose a beautiful woman, take the initiative to throw yourself into Mizuki's arms, and then look for opportunities. After he finished speaking, Onoki interrupted him with a wave of his hand. Onoki looked at Elder A, his expression suddenly turned cold. Get out of here, he yelled sternly. I haven't even figured out Mizuki's character, so I'm just talking nonsense. Mizuki can even kill his fiancée. Are you fooled by this? Get out immediately. What a bad idea you came up with. You are not required to participate in today's meeting. Elder A could only leave obediently. Onoki looked at the other party's back and felt that it was time for this elder to be replaced. The other elders were too frightened to speak. Onoki said coldly, "No need to talk about poisoning or anything like that. The kind of poison that will kill you if you drink it is easy to detect. It's okay against ordinary people, but it's basically impossible to succeed against ninjas. When it comes to playing with drugs, Sand Shinobi is the expert. Rock Shinobi Village doesn't do much research on poisons, and there is no strange poison that is colorless and odorless but can kill people instantly. Of course there are colorless and odorless poisons, but they are all chronic poisons. But chronic poisons are more difficult to operate and take too long to take effect. Just half a month is not enough." Onoki knew clearly that if he wanted to take action, he had to kill him quickly with thunderous means without giving him a chance to breathe. And as far as I know, the third Hokage wanted to get rid of Mizuki before he defected to Konoha. Everyone knows how shady the third Hokage is, but Mizuki is alive and well, but the third Hokage is dead. This is enough to show that Mizuki is more shady than the third Hokage. So, we must be cautious if we want to play dirty tricks. The elders frowned and thought hard, but they still couldn't come up with any good solution. At this moment, Anbu suddenly came to report that Kosuke the Toad of Mount Myoboku wanted to see Onoki. Onoki didn't know why, but he still met Kosuke Toad. "Third Tsuchikage, Great Toad Sage wants to see you to discuss how to kill Mizuki." Kosuke Toad directly explained his purpose. Onoki frowned. "Do you want me to go to Mount Myoboku? How should I get there?" Toad Kosuke nodded. "Please get a water tank and fill it with water." Advertisement. Onoki immediately ordered people to do it. After finishing, Kosuke Toad took out a lotus seed and threw it into the water tank. The next moment, something changed in the water tank. You could see the bottom at a glance, but now you can only see that the water in the tank is deep and dark, like a bottomless pool. Kosuke Toad. Enter this water tank and pass through the water channel to reach Mount Myoboku. After saying that, he jumped in first, swam deeper, and soon disappeared. Onoki looked at the water in the tank and exclaimed, "It's so amazing." He was about to go in, but the elders stopped him. "Tsuchikage-sama, you can't go." Onoki smiled. "It doesn't matter, Mount Myoboku is a sacred place after all, nothing will happen to me if I go in." After saying that, he jumped into the water tank and swam deeper. On the other side, the Chunin exam semifinals ended, and Mizuki Terumi Mei left with Kirigakure's people. All genin in Kirigakure have been eliminated, there is no need to stay here anymore. The only ones left behind are Konoha, Cloud Shinobi Village, Phoenix Village, and Sennin Village. The finals will be held in half a month, so there is no need to run back and forth. Mizuki had nothing to do and started going in and out of various stores to buy various refreshing things. Shingshen pills, brain-boosting pills, refreshing soup. He buys anything that refreshes the mind. After buying, try them to compare the effects and select the best ones. In the end, Mizuki chose the one with the most refreshing effect. Not medicine, but an unknown green tea. Take a sip when you are feeling sleepy in the middle of the night, and you will instantly feel more energetic and no sleepiness at all. Mizuki called Naruto over again. "Naruto, this box of tea leaves will refresh you and refresh your mind. I give it to you." Naruto immediately grimaced. "Ah, master, why did you give me such a weird thing again? I hate tea the most, it's so bitter." Mizuki smiled and said, "Okay, don't be verbose. Just take it if it's given to you. So what if it's bitter? As a ninja, you should endure more hardship. No pain no gain." Naruto could only hold it. Looking at Naruto walking out, Mizuki was filled with anticipation. Open black lens bracket ding. Close black lens bracket. The system is powered on. Host grants disciple Uzumaki Naruto a box of refreshing green tea, triggering a 3000x return. Close black lens bracket. Congratulations to host, you got a box of Shenyuan tea, close black lens bracket. Shenyuan tea has the effect of enhancing mental power. If you insist on drinking 3 cups a day, your mental power will be permanently improved. Close black lens bracket. If you insist on drinking it for 3 days, your mental strength will be permanently increased by 1%. If you insist on it for 10 days, your mental strength will be permanently increased by 1/10. If you insist on drinking it for 1 month, your mental strength will be permanently doubled. If you insist on it for 3 months, your mental strength will be permanently increased by 3 times. Close black lens bracket. Note: 3 times is the upper limit. If the cup breaks on a certain day, the calculation needs to start from the beginning. Close black lens bracket. At this point, Naruto's returns for this month have all been used up. Mizuki smiled. Permanent improvement is what you want. Although the speed of improvement is a bit slow, it was only 3 months and it passed quickly. Even though the upper limit is only 3 times, it is not as good as 6 times that of Liushin toilet water. But this triple is permanent. In comparison, the effect of Liushin toilet water is only temporary, lasting only 10 seconds each time, and can only be used once a day, which is too limiting. The value of the two is completely incomparable. He immediately made a cup of Shenyuan tea and tasted it. It is indeed bitter, but it is sweet after the bitterness, and it makes me feel particularly sober. It was like walking from a dark secret room into the sunlight, and it was extremely clear. Look for an opportunity to see Xiao Li. His injury must be cured and not affect the finals in half a month. In addition, Xiao Li needs to think carefully about the 3 grand returns this month. Chapter 145. Seeking a way to break the space barrier. Xiao Li was seriously injured by Gaara in the previous Konoha Chunin exam, and his arms and legs were shattered. Even if Tsunade wanted to heal that kind of injury, it would not be easy. He later made a miraculous recovery. Mizuki thought at the time that Xiao Li had already mastered the skills of Earth Resentment, which was why he recovered so quickly. But judging from today's battle, Xiao Li has not cultivated the resentment at all. At this time, his bones were slightly cracked and his muscles were severely damaged. This kind of injury will never fully recover within half a month. In half a month, it will be the Chunin exam finals. If Xiao Li has not recovered by then, he may not be able to participate in the battle, let alone be promoted to Chunin. This is something Mizuki will never allow. Xiao Li must pass the exam. That's why Mizuki decided to find an opportunity to help Xiao Li with his treatment. As long as life force is injected into his body, his injuries will recover quickly, and even the hidden injuries in his body will be fully recovered. The injury is easy to treat, but what should be awarded to Xiao Li must be carefully considered. Mizuki drank tea, lost in thought amid the overflowing aroma of tea. The only thing I have to worry about now is that old toad on Mount Myoboku. If it finds a chance, I might really be doomed. Already twice. After almost falling into the hands of Gamamaru twice, Mizuki was full of vigilance. The most important thing is Gamamaru's space barrier. Seal all space ninjutsu. Once trapped, no matter whether it's Apparition, Flying Thunder God, or Rinnegan's Kamui, you can't use it. If you can't use the space ninjutsu, it's like losing your legs and losing the chance to escape. If Mizuki hadn't been vigilant and entered the Kamui hollow state as soon as he was reversed summoning, the body would have been completely cold by now. If you don't want to be afraid of Gamamaru, you must find a way to break his spatial barrier. Once the space barrier is broken, Mizuki can come and go freely with the help of space ninjutsu. With Kamui, he can go hollow whenever he wants. Even if he goes to Mount Myoboku Toad Temple again, he will not be afraid of anything. The idea was good, but Mizuki didn't know anything about the barrier or how to break it. Not to mention the powerful barrier that Gamamaru arranged, even if it was an ordinary barrier, he could only break it through brute force. This path is definitely impossible for him to do on his own. Boundary is also a type of sealing technique. Then to break the barrier, can we also start with the sealing technique? Thinking of this, Mizuki immediately had an idea. Regardless of whether it can be done or not, you still have to try. With the Flying Thunder God technique, Mizuki returns directly to Phoenix Village. Although the village was just built, under the leadership of Tsunade and the call of the daimyo of Tori Country, many people from Tori Country migrated here. With more people, the village becomes lively. There are various shops on the street, offering everything you need to eat, drink and have fun. Mizuki walked on the street, looking at the prosperous village with a smile on his face. Next, the village's focus will be on opening a ninja school. The village needs a ninja team, and it can't just rely on these two big cats and kittens. In Phoenix Village now, there are no conditions for even taking missions. There are too few people, Mizuki is not short of money, and there is no need to rely on the mission system to make money. Advertisement. The mission system is established mainly to enhance the influence of the village. If the task is completed well and the reputation is good, the reputation in the ninja world will be high and the influence will gradually increase. The greater the influence, the greater help Mizuki will unify the ninja world in the future. Although it is possible to recruit wandering ninjas to strengthen the ninja team in Phoenix Village, the loyalty of wandering ninjas to the village may not be high. When the Chunin exam is over, I will focus on the ninja school. He soon finds Kushina in the village. Hey, why are you back? Is the Chunin exam over? Kushina asked confused when she saw Mizuki. Mizuki. Not yet, the semifinals just ended, and the finals will be in half a month. Kushina asked. How about 6 of them? Naruto, Hinata, Gaara, and Shiro have successfully advanced. Neji and Nobita have been eliminated. Mizuki simply explained the examination situation without going into details. He changed the topic and said, I came back temporarily and asked you for help if I need anything. Kushina. What's the matter? Tell me. For Mizuki, Kushina is grateful. She knew everything about Naruto's past in Konoha village. She felt that if Naruto continued to stay in Konoha, the future life would be even more difficult. Mizuki brought Naruto out of the sea of suffering, which was a great favor to Kushina, a mother. Therefore, whenever Mizuki needs help, she will not refuse. Every time Mizuki asked her to extract the tailed beast from Jinchuriki's body before, she readily agreed without hesitation. Mizuki said, among the Uzumaki clan's sealing techniques, is there any way to break the space barrier? He remembered that in Hokage Ninja the movie, Road to the Ninja, when Minato led people to seize the Book of the Red Moon, guarded by the Toad clan, he easily unlocked the combination of space-time ninjutsu and barrier phalanx arranged by Jiraiya, sealing technique. And not by brute force. It can be seen that Namikaze Minato knows how to break the barrier. All Minato's knowledge of sealing techniques was taught by Kushina. Now, Mizuki wants to get a way to break the space barrier, so he comes to Kushina. Crack the space enchantment? There are many ways. I don't know which kind of space enchantment you are talking about. If you know what kind of enchantment it is, you can crack it in a targeted manner and faster, Kushina said. Mizuki was surprised. A lot? Kushina explained. Actually, the sealing technique includes the barrier. The ultimate goal of the sealing technique is to seal the target, and the place where the target is sealed is covered by the barrier. The most important step in the sealing process is to create a sealing barrier. Generally speaking, this kind of sealing barrier is a space barrier, and the range covered by the barrier can be large or small. For example, the space barrier in Jinchuriki's body is large enough to accommodate a tailed beast. Mizuki nodded. Kushina continued. Since a sealing technique can create a space barrier, there is naturally a way to break the space barrier. For example, there is the 5 elements seal, and there is the 5 elements unseal. There is the 4 elephant seal, and there is also the 4 elephant unseal. Which kind of space barrier are you talking about? I'll teach you how to crack it. Mizuki smiled bitterly. Actually, I don't know which one it is. He asked. Is there a way to break all space barriers regardless of specific types? Kushina frowned. She thought for a moment and said, my Uzumaki clan has this method, but I don't know how to do it. Is this so? Mizuki was a little frustrated. Kushina doesn't know it, and he can't even touch it. In this case, he could only sell for the next best thing and find a way to learn all the methods Kushina had to crack the space barrier. Just when he was about to mention it, Kushina said, although I don't know how, I know where that method is hidden. Advertisement, Minato went to get it originally, but failed. The place was extremely dangerous, and even Minato found it difficult to enter. But I think with your ability, it's probably not difficult to get it. Mizuki's eyes lit up and he asked, where is it? It is difficult for him not to be afraid, but he is afraid that there is none. Since there is, he will get it no matter how difficult it is. No matter how dangerous it is, it's not as dangerous as the Toad Temple on Mount Myoboku. Kushina said. The entrance to that place is in a secret underwater realm somewhere near the east coast of the Kingdom of Whirlpool. Mizuki said. I will use Flying Thunder God to take you there, and you can show me the direction. Kushina said. Don't worry, it's useless to go now. The secret realm under the sea will only be opened on a full moon night. Is it a full moon night? Mizuki counted the days and said, there are about 7 or 8 days left. If that's the case, then I'll come back to you in a few days. Meanwhile, Mount Myoboku, the Toad Temple. Gamamaru sat high up, and below, Onoki and Jiraiya were there. This is a space enchantment scroll. When opened and activated, a space enchantment with a radius of 30 meters will be created. In the barrier, all space ninjutsu cannot be performed. Gamamaru threw a scroll into Jiraiya's hands. Onoki looked at the scroll and looked overjoyed. With this scroll, Mizuki's space ninjutsu will be ineffective and his mobility will be greatly reduced. I will use the Dust Release original realm peeling technique to kill him immediately. Tamamaru sneered and said, innocent, Tsuchikage, right? You are an old man after all, why are you still so naive? If Mizuki is so easy to kill, why should I go to all the trouble to find you? Onoki raised his brows, and his temper was a bit uncontrollable. But thinking of the old Toad's methods before, he didn't dare to get angry, so he could only suppress his anger in his heart. It doesn't know that TNUU also has weaknesses. The exam is over and they are about to return to their village. Their vigilance should be minimized. Jiraiya nodded. I understand. So this matter needs to be carefully planned, how to make him be imprisoned by the space barrier without any defense. Jiraiya asked. Excuse me, Great Toad Sage, how to transfer the space barrier? How could such a strong vitality be killed by a mere dust escape? It clearly knows how strong the vitality in Mizuki's body is. Remember, this must never be known to the fourth person. Gamamaru said. Mizuki's vitality is so tenacious that not to mention one shot of dust release, even 10 shots may not be able to kill him. Onoki thought for a while and said, let's do this. After the Chunin exam is over, I will hold a farewell party and do it while we are eating and drinking. Gamamaru looked at Onoki again and said, Mizuki is very vigilant. He can detect the slightest movement immediately. It subconsciously believes that Mizuki will be immortal until its life force is exhausted. Remember, you must not take action without authorization. Only by moving the space barrier here, and bringing Mizuki here, can I kill him personally. Then the summoning is released, and the space barrier and Mizuki inside will naturally come to Mount Myoboku. Gamamaru nodded and said, then let's do it this way. Toadmaru. It's very simple. After the space barrier is arranged, you immediately summon the stomach of Iwajuku Toad and let the barrier be swallowed by the stomach. Also, the timing of using the scroll must be grasped. Mizuki must not enter the hollow state, otherwise the space barrier will not be able to restrain him. The best thing is to bring the 6 genin from Phoenix Village with us. That way, even if Mizuki escapes again, we can use the lives of those 6 genin to threaten him into submission. Chapter 146. The stimulated Naruto went berserk after Gamamaru's instructions. Onoki and Jiraiya left Mount Myoboku together. There was a time when Konoha and Rock Shinobi Village were hostile. You would fight me and I would fight you, resulting in heavy casualties. But at this time, there was no hostility between the two of them. They were very harmonious, talking and laughing, just like old friends for many years. At this time, they have a common enemy, Mizuki. At least until Mizuki dies, it is not suitable for them to break up. Of course, only each of them knows what they are thinking. Jiraiya, I have a very curious question, Onoki suddenly asked as he was about to leave Mount Myoboku. Jiraiya said, please tell me, Onoki asked. Is the Great Toad Sage really capable of dealing with Mizuki? Is its strength really beyond the legendary Sage of 6 Paths? Jiraiya. I don't know how strong the Great Toad Sage is, but I once sensed the boundless natural power within the Great Toad Sage when I was training at Mount Myoboku. Onoki frowned and asked, if that's the case, then why doesn't Great Toad Sage walk out of Mount Myoboku by himself and take the initiative to find Mizuki? Jiraiya said, I'm also curious about this question. I asked Fukasaku Sage, but Fukasaku Sage didn't tell me the answer. Jiraiya had some guesses in his mind, but there was no need to discuss this kind of thing with Onoki. Soon the two left Mount Myoboku, both pretending as if nothing happened. The Great Toad Sage never leaves Mount Myoboku. Is it because of the force of nature? The only difference between Mount Myoboku and the outside world is the power of nature. Compared to Mount Myoboku, the concentration of external natural forces is very low. Where the concentration of natural power is low, the Great Toad Sage cannot adapt. Jiraiya couldn't help but guess. It seems that this is the only way to explain it. At this moment, he thought that Phoenix Village had a very strong natural power, with a concentration comparable to Mount Myoboku. I'm also confused about Tsuchikage's question just now. The Great Toad Sage really wants to kill Mizuki, and he has the strength, but he doesn't take the initiative to leave Mount Myoboku. He is obviously worried. If it is really due to the power of nature, can the Great Toad Sage come directly to Phoenix Village? Thinking of this, Jiraiya wanted to return to Mount Myoboku and tell Gamamaru about the rich natural power of Phoenix Village. But after thinking carefully, he rejected this plan. The Great Toad Sage has already made a plan. Once the Chunin exam is over and everything goes well, Mizuki will naturally die. There is no need to create extra complications. In addition, the Great Toad Sage relies on the power of nature. If this is true and I tell it, I am afraid it will arouse the suspicion of the Toad clan. After all, when I asked Fukasaku Sennin, he didn't answer, and told me not to ask any more questions. There was a warning in his words. No matter how stupid Jiraiya is, he still knows one thing, that is, he cannot let Gamamaru know that he knows its weaknesses, because that is tantamount to seeking death. Advertisement. Let me ask, which strong person is willing to expose his weakness to others? Why don't you kill someone who knows your own weakness as soon as possible, so that you can stab him in the back? Even though Gamamaru might not care about this, Jiraiya didn't dare to gamble. If you lose the bet, you will be in trouble. Jiraiya put his thoughts aside and went to the custom shop to drink and soak in the hot springs. At the same time, on the street of Rock Shinobi Village, a barbecue restaurant. Naruto and others from Phoenix Village gathered here for dinner. Master, I don't know where he went. We agreed to have dinner together today, but when it was time for dinner, he disappeared. Naruto complained. Hinata whispered. Naruto-kun, Mizuki-sama must have something important to do. He is the first generation Hokage and is busier than us. Naruto curled his lips and said, although this is true, I still feel very unhappy. Hinata immediately panicked, thinking that Naruto was talking about her when he said he felt unhappy. She apologized hastily. Naruto-kun, I didn't mean it. Huh? Naruto was confused and didn't understand why Hinata suddenly apologized. Neji on the side saw Hinata's expression in his eyes, and then turned to look at Naruto, with a trace of dissatisfaction flashing in his eyes. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that Hinata is interested in Naruto, but Naruto just doesn't feel anything at all. Sister Hinata actually likes such a piece of wood, she will never be happy in the future. No, I object to this marriage. Neji felt that he had to find an opportunity to have a good chat with Hinata and let her choose someone reliable. Gaara is too cold, Nobita is too stupid, Sasuke is a homeless prodigal. Baitai, I'm not clear with Zabuza, there's something wrong between Nobu and Sai. Nawaki is from the previous generation, and he's as unreliable as Naruto. After thinking about it, Neji felt that none of the men of his generation in Phoenix Village were a good match for Hinata. He even felt that Xiao Li was better than them. No one of the same age can do it. How about choosing someone older? Mizuki is very good, with a gentle personality, mature and stable, motivated, and good at cooking. The key is that she is not married yet. Sister Hinata will definitely be happy if she marries him. Thinking of this, Neji couldn't help but nodded, feeling that it was very reliable. He decided that after the Chunin exam was over and he returned to Phoenix Village, he would tell his father what had happened and ask his father to help connect Hinata and Mizuki. When the aroma of barbecue wafted up and a few people were getting ready to eat, an uninvited guest arrived. Kakashi, sensei. Advertisement. Naruto looked at Kakashi and called him teacher, but there was no hint of intimacy on his face. From Kushina's mouth, Naruto knew that Kakashi was his father's direct disciple. But when he was looked down upon, bullied, and even hungry, Kakashi never appeared. Even after he graduated from the ninja school and became his subordinate, he never taught him a single ninjutsu. If he didn't master any ninjutsu, Naruto wouldn't blame him. But who is he? He is a copy of the ninja Kakashi, who masters thousands of ninjutsus, thousands of them. If he doesn't teach anyone, is he a good disciple of his father? Naruto also learned from Kushina that Kakashi is a poor person. So he can't hate Kakashi, but the master-disciple relationship between the two should come to an end. Kakashi looked at the indifferent Naruto and couldn't help but sigh. Naruto, I'm sorry. Naruto waved his hand and said, there is nothing to apologize for. I have left Konoha. Between us, no one owes anything to the other. Kakashi shook his head. An accident occurred during the execution of the mission, it should be, not a conspiracy. Naruto only found out about this news today. I will completely destroy Konoha. Naruto said, if you want to persuade us to return to Konoha, then I advise you to give up. Kakashi was silent for a moment, opened his mouth, and wanted to say something, but nothing came out. I'm sorry, I didn't protect her. Kakashi looked remorseful. Mizuki didn't tell the news about little Sakura's death, and neither Neji nor Hinata told him. They both deliberately kept it from Naruto. Is it an accident, or a conspiracy? Naruto asked, clenching his fists and gritting his teeth. Not good, for us. Konoha is a prison, a purgatory, and a sea of suffering. No matter what you say, I will never go back. As soon as he finished speaking, Naruto disappeared from the spot. Dark red chakra continuously overflows the body surface. Kakashi said, Naruto, little Sakura, she is dead. Should? Naruto turned to look at Kakashi, his eyes began to change. What? Naruto stood up in surprise. Naruto looked out the window blankly, and after a while, he looked back. Kakashi's complexion became extremely ugly. Chapter 147, Four Tails Naruto, the Confident Tobirama. Nine Tails, under the influence of Nine Tails chakra, Naruto has lost his mind and only has violent emotions in his mind. He also learned Flying Thunder God. I just hope those two can stop him, otherwise Konoha will suffer again. Kakashi's eyes were filled with helplessness. He had no choice but to do it. And helplessness has long been his habit. When his father died, he was helpless. When Obito was hit by a boulder, he was helpless. When Lin died, he was helpless. When the fourth generation and Kushina died, he was helpless. Now that Naruto is filled with rage and wants to destroy Konoha, he is still helpless. Do you hate yourself for being incompetent? Maybe, but he had already accepted the reality. He raised his hand to cover the forehead protector covering his left eye. Even if I have this eye, what can I do? After all, it's just an eye. At the same time, Naruto appeared in the Land of Fire, only a few miles away from Konoha. In the process of sending Shadow Clone to find Sasuke, his Flying Thunder God technique was left all over the ninja world. As long as he wants, he can reach anywhere in the ninja world instantly. Damn Konoha, you actually planned to kill Lil Sakura. Damn it, you all deserve to die. Naruto's eyes had vertical pupils, his mouth was slightly open, his fangs were exposed, and his expression was extremely ferocious. He has not completely lost his mind and still has independent thinking. But under the influence of Nine Tails' evil thoughts, his will has become very weak. At this moment, he only had murderous intent in his heart. Three dark red tails swayed behind him. This dark red chakra exudes an extremely evil aura. Little Sakura, Konoha actually killed you. I will never forgive you. When Konoha is destroyed, I will ask Master to resurrect you. Konoha is unkind and unjust. Please stay with me in Phoenix Village from now on. He looked up at the bustling Konoha village not far away, his eyes filled with hatred and murderous intent. This dirty and dark village does not deserve to exist. Today, I will raze this place to the ground, and I will use ninjutsu to wash away all the dirt here. The next moment, more dark red chakra surged out of his body, covering him so much that he couldn't even see his appearance. The three tails behind him also increased to 4. The evil aura was more than 10 times stronger. Konoha Village, Hokage Building, a certain basement. Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobirama, standing in the coffin, suddenly opened their eyes. The next moment, the lid of Liang Kuei's coffin could no longer hold up and fell down. Hashirama and Tobirama walked out and turned their heads to look in the direction of Naruto. This chakra is unmistakable. It's 9 tails. This violent emotion and unabashed murderous intention is directed at Konoha, Tobirama said with a cold face. Hashirama's face is confused, a little silly, and it's a very natural kind of silly. It was as if I had just woken up and my mind was still a little unclear. 9 tails. Where? Why didn't I see it? Tobirama was speechless. Brother, can you be more serious? He turned his head away, not even bothering to look at Hashirama. Hashirama scratched his head and laughed. Ahaha, it's just a joke. I just climbed out of the coffin and need to liven up the atmosphere. Advertisement, and it's not just 9 tails, so there's nothing to worry about. Although we're not in full strength, it's not difficult to deal with just 9 tails. Hashirama and Tobirama both possess strong sensory abilities. Naruto was near Konoha, and it was clear to their senses. Tobirama shook his head. Not just 9 tails, but 9 tails Jinchuriki. If I remember correctly, the current 9 tails Jinchuriki is the brat named Uzumaki Naruto, the son of 4th Hokage, and one of the people who was taken away from Konoha by Mizuki. Judging from the chakra perception, he did not master the power of 9 tails. Instead, he was affected by the will of 9 tails, and he somewhat lost his mind. The most important thing is that he is Mizuki's disciple. He must have learned some weird methods from Mizuki. Hashirama dropped the smile on his face. He walked out of the basement first and headed to Hokage's office. Tobirama follows, and soon the two meet Orochimaru. My lords, why did you wake up on your own? Orochimaru saw the serious expressions on their faces and knew something was going on. It's just that he doesn't know the sensory ninjutsu, so he doesn't know what happened yet. Tobirama said directly, I need information about Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto-kun. Orochimaru frowned, wondering what Tobirama wanted from Naruto's information. Tobirama said, the power of 9 tails in Naruto's body is out of control. He has almost lost his mind and is approaching Konoha with murderous intent. The attacker is not good. Although he only has 3 tails, his aura is very powerful. If an ordinary ninja alone wants to stop him, he will probably suffer heavy losses. My eldest brother and I took the initiative to wake up, leave this matter to us. Now, we need to know information about his abilities. Orochimaru nodded and hurriedly found a scroll. He opened the scroll and briefly outlined, Naruto masters multiple shadow clone technique, Rasengan, flying thunder god technique. In addition, in this rock shinobi village Chunin exam, Jiraiya sent back a message. The genin who participated in the semifinals of Phoenix Village has the Senjutsu Chakra in his body. Although Naruto had a bye in the semifinals, Jiraiya guessed that Naruto must have mastered it. Hashirama nodded. He does have Senju Chakra in his body, and there is quite a lot of it, which makes me feel very strange. Even if you have cultivated Sage Mode in normal state, there is no Sage Chakra in your body. Only after entering Sage Mode and absorbing the power of nature and combining it with the chakra in the body, will there be Sage Chakra in the body. But now, this one named Uzumaki Naruto has clearly not entered Sage Mode. Without entering Sage Mode, there is Senjutsu Chakra in his body, which is beyond Hashirama's understanding. Moreover, how did Mizuki make it so that the genin from Phoenix Village who took the Chunin exam had all the Senjutsu Chakra in their bodies? Is it possible that there are other ways to obtain the magical chakra? Hashirama frowned. He has mastered the Flying Thunder God at such a young age. He seems to be a genius in ninjutsu. But this will cause a bit of trouble. Tobarama said calmly. Don't worry, Orochimaru asked. Lord Tobarama, do you have a way to deal with the Flying Thunder God? Tobarama nodded proudly. The Flying Thunder God technique was created by me, and I know its principles very well. When I was studying this technique, I naturally also considered some adverse consequences, such as how to deal with being secretly learned by the enemy. I have perfected my restraint methods during this time, so there is no need to worry. Orochimaru said happily. This is great. Then he asked. Lord Tobarama, since the Flying Thunder God can be restrained, can Lee Yu's apparition be restrained as well? After all, they are all space ninjutsu, so the principles should be similar. Tobarama nodded and said, the principles of all space ninjutsu are actually the same. Whether it is the Flying Thunder God technique or the apparition technique, the basic principle is the summoning technique. Flying Thunder God technique, the relationship between the magician and the Flying Thunder God technique is equivalent to the relationship between the ninja and the summoning beast. Once the Flying Thunder God spell is activated, it is equivalent to the summoning beast activating the reverse summoning spell, which allows the user to instantly teleport to the location of the spell. Orochimaru's eyes sparkled. At this moment, he really admired Tobarama to the extreme. He could even think of this kind of thinking. How did he have such a brain? Advertisement, transformation. Although I don't know the specific principle, I think it's similar. It's a little more complicated than Flying Thunder God, but the basic principle is still the summoning technique. After thinking about it in the coffin during this period, although I haven't been able to fully study it, I'm getting close to it. Tobarama looked confident. At this time, Hashirama on the side suddenly said in a deep voice, Tobarama, don't study these messy techniques. Brother, Tobarama looked dissatisfied. Hashirama showed no mercy and said with a serious face, I don't want to say more. Once the research is done, just seal it. HMPH. Tobarama could only express his dissatisfaction with a cold snort. Upon seeing this, Orochimaru hurriedly smoothed things over and asked, then, Lord Tobarama, how should we restrain Naruto's Flying Thunder God? Is there any arrangement needed to coordinate it? Tobarama said, to restrain this type of ninjutsu, you only need to disable the summoning technique. To put it simply, you have to use a contract seal. I won't go into details, it's very complicated, you won't understand it anyway. Haha, Orochimaru laughed dryly, his hoarse voice looking a little embarrassed. At this moment, an Anbu came to Hokage's office and knelt down on one knee. Master Hokage, we found a suspicious humanoid creature approaching the village, but it has 4 tails. It is less than 3 kilometers away from the village. Orochimaru nodded and said, that's 9 tails Jinchuriki Uzumaki Naruto. There are 2 ancestors of Hokage here, there's no need to panic, get down. Hashirama said, Tobarama, let's go, we can't let him enter the village, lest he harm civilians during the battle. The 2 turned around. At this time Orochimaru asked, my lords, is it possible that Mizuki took the lead in today's incident? Uzumaki Naruto, could he just be the one leading the charge? Hashirama paused, but did not look back. He sighed, and then asked, I asked you to prepare, are you ready? Orochimaru said, you are ready, and Hashirama-sama does not need to feel pressure. The sacrifice found this time is not a human being, or in other words, a humanoid monster. Oh, Hashirama couldn't help but be surprised. Humanoid monster? Orochimaru smiled and said, thanks to Kabuto, otherwise we wouldn't be able to find such good things in Konoha alone. If Mizuki comes again, I will use Impure World Reincarnation on you 2 adults again. The newly obtained sacrifices are enough for the 2 adults to fully display their abilities during their lifetimes. Especially Hashirama-sama. In your heyday, you should have been able to handle a Mizuki easily. The yin and yang chakras immediately converge and combine in fixed proportions. Boom. The tailed beast bomb hits the gate directly. The tailed beast bomb was like a cannonball, streaking across the flat ground at an ultimate speed, and the strong wind it stirred up caused trees to fall in pieces. Summoning technique. Triple Rashomon. After a roar, he raised his head and opened his mouth. In the blink of an eye, Tailed Beast Bomb was outside the high walls of Konoha and was about to rush in the next moment. With another roar, the Tailed Beast Bomb aimed at Konoha and launched it instantly. Roar, roar, soon, a dark-tailed beast bomb took shape. Everywhere it went was leveled, and a groove several meters wide was plowed into the ground. With a low shout, 3 gates stood up directly from the ground, blocking the path of Tailed Beast Bomb in turn. Hashirama shook his head, said nothing, and continued walking out. If it withstands this blow, Konoha will suffer huge damage. 1 kilometer outside Konoha village, Naruto in Four Tails State stopped. He had completely lost his mind. He jumped to the top of a big tree and looked at Konoha village in the distance. There was only killing in his eyes. Chapter 148. Flying Thunder God's Nemesis, Contract Seal Barrier. The first Rashomon gate fell down. Tailed Beast Bomb continued to move forward and soon hit the second Rashomon gate. Boom. There was another loud noise. This time, the Tailed Beast Bomb was blocked. The second Rashomon gate was very strong. Although the location where it was hit by the Tailed Beast Bomb was severely dented and deformed, it did not fall or be penetrated. In comparison, the Rashomon from first generation summoning is far superior to Orochimaru's Rashomon in terms of defense and solidity. Atop the high wall, Konoha's ninjas cheered loudly. Blocked. Blocked. As expected of Shodai, Tailed Beast Bomb can be easily blocked. The god of ninja, the true god of ninja. Compared to the cheering ninjas, Hashirama and Tobirama looked calm and looked outside the wall quietly. The next moment, a bright light blinded people's eyes. Immediately afterwards, a violent explosion caused the ground to shake violently. Boom. The roar of the explosion shook the heavens and the earth, several times louder than the 9-day thunder in the summer. Many ninjas on the high wall were suddenly deafened and their heads were buzzing. The second Rashomon fell directly to the ground. The explosion wave spread at an unimaginable speed and hit the third Rashomon gate. Crunch. The door was pushed backwards by the explosion wave, making an overwhelming, crunching sound, and seemed to be about to collapse at any time. I slid for 30 or 40 meters before stopping. Finally managed to hold on. Fortunately, it was the Rashomon of the first generation. If it had been Orochimaru, a large part of the Konoha wall behind would have collapsed, and the houses near the wall would have suffered heavy losses. Looking at the center of the explosion, the forest with a radius of hundreds of meters was destroyed, and there was a huge explosion crater in the middle. It's so powerful, it's only 4 tails, and it's so powerful. Hashirama looked solemn. Tobirama, attack with all your strength. With our current strength, if we are careless, we may not be able to do anything against him. Tobirama nodded, looking equally serious. Obviously, both of them could see that Naruto's strength at this time was extremely threatening. Brother, go ahead and hold him back while I make some preparations. Don't let him enter the village, he must be kept out of the village. Hashirama nodded. Give it to me. The next moment, I saw Hashirama clasping his hands together and shouting. Wood style. Unbutton your crotch. On the ground, seedlings broke out of the ground, grew at an extremely fast speed, and grew into towering trees in a blink of an eye. The destroyed forest instantly turned green again, and it was even greener than before. At this time, Four Tails Naruto's 4 tails turned into 4 steel whips and waved them, cutting off the trees that were entangled around him. The tail seems light and agile, but its power is surprisingly strong. Even if several people hug the tree trunk, it is just a matter of 1 tail. The tree world came and could not cause any harm to him. But all Hashirama wants is to hold him back. This place has become a primeval forest, airtight. As a result, the flying thunder god Kunai cannot be thrown out at all. It is not that easy for Naruto to break through and enter Konoha village. The arrival of the tree realm alone cannot hold him back. Hashirama took the initiative and was seen jumping among the trees, approaching Naruto quickly. Naruto has lost his mind and anyone who comes close to him will become his target. Advertisement, roar. He roared and thrust his hands directly into the ground. There was a noise coming from the ground. Hashirama was so experienced in fighting that he immediately sensed Naruto's intentions. The next moment, 2 big dark red hands rushed out of the ground and grabbed Hashirama from bottom to top. Hashirama was extremely calm. He lightly pushed his foot towards the tree trunk on the side, and immediately moved his body to the left, avoiding it easily. Immediately afterwards, the 2 big hands turned around and continued to grab. Wherever it went, trees were broken and the wind roared. Obviously its power was not low. Hashirama's body was flexible. He dodged left and right, jumped and moved, but managed not to get hit. Although he has the body of Impure World reincarnation and can recover even after being damaged, Hashirama is not a reckless man who goes on a rampage. He moved forward extremely fast and was in front of Naruto in a blink of an eye. Before Naruto could react, he raised his leg and kicked directly to the side of Naruto's head. A tail moved to block the kick. Hashirama's kick failed, and then he drew back his foot and punched. Naruto immediately blocked it with his hands. The two then entered into a physical competition. You punched me and kicked me, you attacked and I defended, you came and I went, it was a great time. But in terms of taijutsu, even if Naruto hadn't lost his mind, he wouldn't be Hashirama's opponent. What's more, now, most of his reason has been washed away by Nine-Tails' will. In a physical fight, he had no rules and relied entirely on instinct. Not to mention Hashirama's enemy. After only 3 or 2 moves, Hashirama seized the opportunity and found an opening. 10th Edict on Enlightenment. In the palm of his right hand, the word, seat, appeared, and he pressed it towards Naruto's forehead. As long as this slab is pressed on Naruto's head, Nine-Tails will be resealed immediately, and Naruto will regain consciousness. He believed that attacking Konoha was not Naruto's original intention, but the trend of Nine-Tails' will. As long as Naruto regains his senses, he will naturally give up the idea of continuing to attack. But at this moment, in a flash of light and shadow, Naruto's body disappeared. Although his sanity was almost lost, Naruto still knew how to use ninjutsu. It's just that it's a little slow. Naruto suddenly disappeared and reappeared behind Hashirama, punching directly into Hashirama's back. The sudden switch from defense to offense occurred in just 0.1 seconds. Hashirama was experienced and immediately raised his leg to kick backwards. Arms and legs collided, and the two of them took a few steps back. It's indeed the Flying Thunder God technique. In this way, there is really nothing I can do against him. Then wait until Tobirama is ready, then seal the Nine-Tails chakra. He then took action, still using physical skills, but compared to before, each move was less offensive and more like a performance. He knew that he could no longer control Naruto on his own and could only wait for Tobirama's assistance. There is no way, Impure World Reincarnation's sacrifice is too hot, and he can't even use 1/10 of his strength. Otherwise, even if Naruto has the Flying Thunder God, he can still chase and beat him. He turned and looked out into the forest. Although there were trees blocking his view, he could feel it. There, Tobirama has used the Shadow Clone technique to summon 7 Shadow Clone. Including his body, there are a total of 8 figures, distributed in all directions with the Flying Thunder God technique. Surrounding the primeval forest in the middle, ninja technique, contract sealing formation. The 8 Tobiramas shouted in unison, and the next moment, a light yellow 8 trigrams barrier rose from the ground, surrounding this area. Brother, the contract seal has been completed, let's do it quickly. Tobirama's voice reached Hashirama's ears. Are you done? Then it's time to end this farce. Hashirama rushed towards Naruto again and fought with him. With the help of his own physical skills, he soon found another chance. Advertisement, 10th Edict on Enlightenment. This time, Naruto didn't dodge. At the critical moment, he wanted to use Flying Thunder God, but it didn't work. If you are within the formation of the contract seal, the contract will be invalid. Tobirama has explained that Flying Thunder God technique is essentially summoning technique. It is to control the Flying Thunder God technique and activate the reverse summoning technique, allowing the user to instantly transfer space. The establishment of summoning technique requires a summoning contract. Now that the contract is sealed by the formation, Flying Thunder God naturally becomes invalid. Therefore, Naruto couldn't escape. Hashirama put his hand on Naruto's forehead and killed him with a slap on the head. The 4 tails behind Naruto immediately disappeared like smoke, as if they had never existed. The dark red 9 tails chakra around him also retracted into his body. Soon, a wounded and disfigured Naruto appeared on the spot. Hey, looking at Naruto like this, Hashirama sighed. 9 tails chakra is too harmful to the human body. If only 3 tails appear, it's nothing, because there isn't much 9 tails chakra spilling out of the body, and the damage is not high. But once it reaches 4 tails, the overflowing 9 tails chakra will directly rise to a higher level. Even with the physique of Naruto Uzumaki, he could not withstand such corrosive damage. Hashirama retracted his right hand and looked at Naruto. Naruto's eyes gradually returned to their senses, and Hashirama couldn't help but sigh in his heart after looking at his clear blue pupils. Such a clean child. But the next moment, he didn't think so, because Naruto punched him in the face. Hashirama frowned and stepped back. Naruto, the 9 tails chakra has been sealed by me, and you have regained your sanity. Why are you still attacking me? Could it be that the reason for coming to attack Konoha this time was not driven by 9 tails, but your own intention? Naruto stared at Hashirama, his voice cold. Yes, the top brass of Konoha specialize in harming the weak. Just because Sasuke and I defected, and little Sakura was our former teammate, she was killed by Konoha. I originally planned to completely destroy this village, but since I grew up here, I changed my mind. Just kill Orochimaru and Danzo, I won't touch the others. Hashirama frowned. You said little Sakura was killed by Konoha. Is there any misunderstanding in this? It is very common for ninjas to die when performing missions. I believe everyone is sad about the death of little Sakura, but it makes no sense to say that Konoha deliberately killed her. How could you deliberately kill a ninja from your own village? Naruto didn't listen at all. He roared angrily. I don't care, little Sakura is dead and someone must be buried with her. She is the person I like, how could she die so easily? It's all Konoha, it's all Danzo and Orochimaru's fault. I want to kill them and avenge little Sakura. At this moment, Naruto was no longer being unreasonable. On his body, the dark red 9 tails chakra began to overflow again, and there was a tendency of going berserk again. But Naruto, who regained his sanity, was kind after all. He originally shouted to destroy Konoha, but now, he has changed his mind and only kills Orochimaru and Danzo. In addition, the effect of 10th Edict on Enlightenment has not dissipated, so it is not possible to go berserk immediately. In the anime, Hinata was killed by pain, and Naruto went berserk. You know, at that time, Naruto didn't like Hinata. Naruto could go berserk if someone he didn't like died, let alone his favorite little Sakura? Seeing that Naruto was stubborn, Hashirama said no more. Revenge? I will never allow it. I created this village and I will not allow anyone to harm it. Not even Madara, let alone anyone else. Besides, in your current state, it is impossible to succeed in revenge. Chapter 149. Compared with heartache, this pain is nothing. Status. What status? Following Hashirama's gaze, Naruto looked down at his body. All he could see was that the skin on his palms, backs and arms was all bloody and bloody. He touched his face again, and the same thing happened. Are you talking about my injuries? Hashirama said. You were eroded by the Nine Tails chakra. You were seriously injured and your whole body was in severe pain. You are no longer capable of doing anything else. Give up. I'll give you two choices, either surrender without mercy and return to Konoha to be punished. Either I pull out the nine tails from your body and you die. In Hashirama's eyes, any behavior that wants to destroy Konoha is not allowed. Uchiha Madara can't do it, and Naruto can't do it even more. If you don't give up, then die for lousy, severely injured? This little injury is nothing compared to the psychological damage that little Sakura's death has caused to me. This little pain, what is it compared to the grief in my heart? Naruto roared. He was once hated by everyone. Although he was in pain, it was not as painful as it is today. Although the injuries on his body were very serious, relying on Tenryu's life force control, he could be healed in just 3 seconds. But he didn't do that. He did not treat the injury immediately, but felt the severe pain radiating from every inch of his body. He punished himself for this. Punish yourself for not protecting little Sakura. He looked up at Hashirama and said, I don't know who you are, but today I have to kill Orochimaru and Danzo. Hashirama frowned. This matter is probably a misunderstanding. Even if you want to kill someone, you have to find out the truth of the matter. Little Sakura died, so you put all the blame on Konoha. Isn't that unreasonable? Otherwise, let's investigate the matter first. If it is true as you said, little Sakura was framed and died by Konoha's senior officials, then I will help you get justice, kill the people behind the scenes, and avenge little Sakura. If things are not what you think, and little Sakura died due to an ordinary mission failure, then let's end the matter here and return to Konoha and continue to serve Konoha. How about that? I know that your father is 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato. Isn't the village that your father once protected with his life worthy of your continued protection? Hashirama already knew from Orochimaru that Naruto was the son of the 4th Hokage. So he couldn't bear to kill Naruto. He wanted to say a few more words. It would be best if he could make Naruto realize his return. Naruto did not answer, but asked, Who are you? Why can you help me seek justice? Hashirama was speechless. Didn't he just say that I created the people of Konoha? Why is this Nine Tails Jinchuriki so stupid? But facing Naruto's question, he could only answer, I am 1st Hokage, Senju Hashirama. I created Konoha. I only hope that this village will get better and better. If it is true as you said, there is a high-level conspiracy to kill the ninjas in your village. I will clean up the house without you having to do anything. Whether it's Danzo or today's 5th Hokage Orochimaru, I won't let him go. Hearing this, Naruto not only didn't believe it, but instead sneered. HMPH, these are lies. Do you think I will still believe them? The 1st Hokage is dead a long time ago. Besides, even if you were the 1st Hokage, why should I trust you? Just a conspirator like 3rd generation, Hashirama was filled with doubts. He asked, You were born and raised in Konoha, but why do you have so many prejudices against Konoha and the 3rd generation? Naruto roared, Because everyone in Konoha hates me. They said I was a demon fox and that I killed their relatives and their parents. They isolated me. The way they looked at me was full of disgust and indifference. They wanted to kill me. Advertisement, how can I not be prejudiced in a village like this? Hashirama said, This is impossible. You are the son of the 4th Hokage. The 4th Hokage died to seal 9 tails. You are the hero of Konoha. You are the son of a hero. Even though 9 tails is sealed in your body, the villagers have no reason to hate you, let alone isolate you. Ha ha ha, Naruto laughed, and the laughter grew louder and louder until it finally resounded through the forest. Why? Okay, I'll tell you today why. Because the 3rd Hokage has completely blocked the fact that I am the son of the 4th generation. Because Danzo fabricated me as a demon fox and passed this news to the villagers, but 3rd generation did not stop it. Because 3rd generation wants to be the only light in my life and wants to completely control me in his hands. Hashirama was completely silent after hearing Naruto's words. He didn't doubt Naruto's words. During Chunon's exam, the 3rd generation reincarnated Uchiha Sasuke Impure World several times and used the distinguished heavenly gods to control others, and he knew this. The 3rd generation's rhetoric at that time was for Konoha. But Hashirama knew that the 3rd generation was using any means necessary and was completely possessed. Hashirama sighed. I'm sorry for what happened to you, but Sarutobi Hiruzen has been killed by Mizuki. Your hatred has been avenged, and there is no need to repeat the past. But you are the son of the 4th generation after all, and you grew up in Konoha. Your home should be Konoha. I am 1st Hokage. Come back to Konoha with me now. I will reveal your identity as the son of the 4th generation. All the villagers will accept you and apologize to you. When you have enough knowledge, I'll let you be the 6th Hokage. Do you think that's okay? Naruto learned the Flying Thunder God and many other methods. In terms of strength, it was enough to be a Hokage. Hashirama, like Naruto, has a kind heart. Seeing Naruto's heart full of resentment, Hashirama knew that it would not be easy to get Naruto to look back. But he was still willing to give it a try. As the reincarnation of Ashura, Hashirama feels a sense of intimacy when looking at Naruto. Naruto shook his head. No, it's too late. Little Sakura is dead, and my last memory of Konoha is completely gone. Seeing this, Hashirama no longer insisted. He sighed and said, in that case, I hope you won't regret it. 9 Tails belongs to Konoha and must be taken back today. As soon as he finished speaking, he rushed towards Naruto, intending to subdue Naruto with his taijutsu. Naruto looked at Hashirama, who rushed over, expressionless. Heavenly resentment you. Life is healed. The pain has been felt, and there is still a fight to come, so there is no need to continue dragging the remaining body. The vitality is injected into the injured areas of the whole body, and the injuries recover quickly, visible to the naked eye. The skin that was originally bloody quickly grew new skin. You actually have this super fast self-healing ability? But I underestimated you. Naruto looked up and saw the light yellow barrier outside through the gap between the trees. The Flying Thunder God cannot be used. Is it because of this barrier? If you can't use it, then don't use it. Looking at the rushing Senju Hashirama, Naruto stood still and made no move to resist. The next moment, Hashirama punched Naruto in the abdomen, and his fist was dented directly. But Hashirama's expression turned horrified. What's going on with your body? He lowered his head and looked at the transparent liquid wrapping his fist, confused. Naruto said nothing more, only to see his body quickly liquefy, and then follow Hashirama's arm and enter him. Advertisement. What kind of jutsu is this? As a ninja god from the Sengoku era, Hashirama, what kind of jutsu has he not seen? But he had really never seen this technique today. At this time, Naruto, who had liquefied and invaded Hashirama's body, was also filled with confusion. What's going on? Why can't you swallow any life force? He doesn't know that Hashirama is from the impure world reincarnation. He is a dead person and has no vitality in his body. For others, the secret technique Heavenly Resentment U, which is like the Shinigami that harvests life, has zero effect on the body of impure world reincarnation. Since Heavenly Resentment and U don't work, then we can only fight head-on. Naruto came out of Hashirama's body and took human form again. He clapped his hands and shouted, Ninja Technique, Multiple Shadow Clone Technique. Bang! 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 In the blink of an eye, thousands of Narutos appeared in front of Hashirama. All Shadow Clone raised their right hands, and blue chakra gathered in their palms. Rasengan takes shape quickly. Thousands of Rasengan appear. Hashirama looked at Rasengan and exclaimed. What kind of ninjutsu is this? It is somewhat similar to the tailed beast bomb. The small chakra pill contains terrifying power. The person who invented this ninjutsu is really a genius. Naruto looked at Hashirama and said, since you are blocking me, don't blame me for being rude. Everyone, attack together. Good, clear. Thousands of Rasengan were thrown out, densely packed, covering all directions and flying towards Hashirama. With Naruto's disdainful efforts, Rasengan was able to throw out an attack. No more holding it in hand, rushing forward to attack the enemy. From melee combat to long-range combat, the attack range is expanded and one's own safety is better ensured. Wood style. Wooden spindle wall. He did not have summoning Rashomon to defend himself. Rashomon could only stand on the ground to defend against attacks coming from the horizontal direction. Inside the wooden ingot wall, looking at the crumbling defense above his head, Hashirama sighed. And it's not just one floor, there are 5 floors. But even the wooden ingot wall, when used in his hands, is much more spectacular than the small turtle shell used by Yamato. But Hashirama did not relax. Instead, he worried. With so many Rasengans and a 5-layer wall of wooden ingots, I don't know if they can stop them. The next moment, the wall of the wooden ingot was completely blasted through, and Hashirama was directly exposed to Rasengan's offensive. Boom! Therefore, he chose wooden ingots to avoid it. The thickness of this defense alone reaches 5 to 6 meters. Hashirama's whole body was overwhelmed by the explosion. The first Rasengan hit the wooden ingot and exploded immediately. Immediately afterwards, Rasengans fell one after another, and the explosions were so loud that they were almost indistinguishable. Hashirama is limited by this body, and his strength cannot be even 1/10 of what he was in his prime. I saw thick wooden piles with a diameter of more than 1 meter growing from the ground around him, curving above his head to form an arch, protecting him from all sides. But now, there are many Rasengan flying down from overhead, and Rashomon cannot stop them. It can't be stopped after all. The wooden ingot was immediately blown into a crater, and sawdust flew everywhere. Boom boom boom. Faced with this all-round covering attack like raindrops, he couldn't use the powerful technique to resist the counterattack, so he could only use small ninjutsu like the wooden ingot wall to block it. Chapter 150. The Overwhelming and Unstoppable Naruto. The shadow clone was lifted, and Naruto looked at the center of the explosion with indifferent eyes. When the dust dispersed, only a large crater remained, and Hashirama's figure had disappeared. God of Ninja? That's it? He curled his lips and continued walking towards Konoha. But at this moment, he frowned and turned to look at the bottom of the pit. He saw dust like confetti flying and gathering. Soon, Senju Hashirama's body reappeared. In perfect condition. What's going on? Naruto was also shocked. Naruto is indeed a genius, however, his knowledge and insight were really lacking. Reanimation jutsu is no longer a new ninjutsu, even Sasuke has learned it. But he still didn't have any understanding of this technique. There is a reason why he can be the tailgater in school. Is it a secret technique similar to Tenryuu? As expected of the first Hokage, he actually masters this strange secret technique. No wonder I just used Tenryuu, but I couldn't swallow any of his life force. With this thought, Naruto felt that there was no need to get entangled with Senju Hashirama anymore. It's just a waste of time to continue to entangle if they can't be killed. Leave the barrier first and enter Konoha. Find Danzo and Orochimaru, kill them, and avenge little Sakura. Then find little Sakura's grave, take out some body tissue, and bring it back to Master Mizuki. I hope Master Mizuki can resurrect little Sakura one day. His body liquefied again and sank into the ground, moving in the direction of Konoha. He thought that he could get rid of Senju Hashirama's entanglement in this way. But he didn't know that Hashirama and Tobirama both mastered sensory ninjutsu and could clearly sense Naruto's chakra. Even though Naruto uses 10 resentment U to liquefy his body, chakra will not disappear out of thin air. It's absolutely impossible to sneak into Konoha and kill people, Hashirama shouted coldly. He stared at Naruto's position and clapped his hands, earth style. Split the earth and turn the palm. Senju Hashirama, although famous in the ninja world for wood style. But the wood style bloodline limit is actually a combination of water style and earth style. Therefore, Hashirama also masters water style and earth style. At this time, Naruto is traveling underground, and the most effective way to force him out is the earth style ninjutsu. Chakra gathered in the palm of Hashirama's right hand, and then slapped it towards the ground. In an instant, the ground opened, and the cracks quickly spread towards Naruto's location. In the blink of an eye, the ground was full of cracks, ranging from half a meter narrow to dozens of meters wide, and the depth was bottomless. Liquid Naruto was blocked by the cracks and unable to continue traveling through the soil. Hateful. He transformed into a human again and couldn't help but curse. Under the influence of the contract seal barrier, Flying Thunder God cannot be used. Heaven's Resentment U has no effect on first generation, and it can leave even if it wants to. Taijutsu is no match either. Relying on the Rasengan, he can clearly blow the opponent to ashes, but he can still revive him. All his methods seem to be useless in front of Senju Hashirama. Frustrated, unprecedented frustration, I don't believe it. Naruto was not convinced, clapped his hands again, and shouted, Ninja technique. Multiple shadow clone technique. With all means being restricted, he could only return to his old profession. Thousands of shadow clones spread out in all directions. Shadow clone, like the main body, cannot even distinguish between Sharingan and Byakugan. I don't believe you can still stop me. At this time, Senju Hashirama was really dumbfounded and couldn't tell which one was Naruto's body. Seeing Senju Hashirama's blank eyes, Naruto felt overjoyed. HMPH, you can't find me as expected. I will be able to enter Konoha right away and avenge Lil Sakura. But Senju Hashirama didn't sit idly by. Advertisement. He is the god of ninja. He has never seen anything happen before, and he has a countermeasure for any situation. Wood style. The world of flowers and trees is born. A large number of vines grew wildly, and in a blink of an eye, the surrounding area was covered with thick tree vines. This is not over yet. Giant flower buds grow on these tree vines. The flower buds bloom at a speed visible to the naked eye and release pollen. A large amount of pollen is densely packed in the air, creating a haze-like scene. These pollen are poisonous and can paralyze the human body and cause people to coma if inhaled. Naruto's body and shadow clone all inhaled pollen, but what made Hashirama frown was that even though thousands of Narutos inhaled pollen, not even one of them reacted. Pollen doesn't work on him. Of course it doesn't work. Pollen comes from plants and is life, and it contains life force. When they entered Naruto's body, their life force was immediately absorbed by Tenryuu. Living pollen will wither and die immediately, so how can it still be effective? The same goes for shadow clone. In this case, we can only use the 4 purple flame formation. It's just that this body is too weak and he can't show much of his strength, otherwise there would be no need for it to be so troublesome. 3 new versions of himself grew on his shoulders and back. This is wood clone. Disperse. The 3 wood-style clones, as well as Hashirama's main body, immediately dispersed. In terms of body flicker technique, Hashirama is 100 times stronger than Naruto. The main body plus 3 clones soon separated into 4 corners and surrounded thousands of Narutos. Ninja technique. 4 purple flame formation. Tall and wide purple barriers rose up on all sides. When the shadow clone touched the barrier, it immediately lifted itself amidst screams. Immediately, a shadow clone turned into liquid and tried to pass through the underground. But the 4 purple flame formation is not only effective on the ground, it is also effective underground, and the depth of the effect is not shallow. The pressure underground is very high, and even if it turns into liquid, it cannot dive too deep. Dozens more shadow clone dissipated. Seeing that it was impossible to get through the ground, Naruto had no choice but to attack. All shadow clone cast Rasengan and threw them towards the barrier together. Boom boom boom. There was a violent explosion that shook the heaven and earth, and the barrier was shaken violently, but in the end it held on and was not broken. Stronger than the tiles on the roof of the house where Chunin took his exam in Konoha. It's so strong that even so many Rasengan can't break it. In this case, we can only use magic. The next moment, all shadow clone were released. To enter Sage mode, the entire body and mind must enter a dead state. That is the ultimate quietness. From the inside to the outside, there must be no moving existence, including thinking. Dissolving the shadow clone is to prevent it from absorbing the power of nature later. If the shadow clone is disbanded, it will bring new memories and cause the mind to become restless. He became completely quiet, and his whole person entered a mysterious state of silence, as if he had become a dead thing. The surrounding natural energy quickly gathered towards his body. Hashirama himself knows Senjutsu and has a clear sense of natural energy. Naruto absorbed natural energy and he noticed it immediately. Sage mode? Didn't the intelligence say that he didn't learn the complete Sage mode at Mount Myoboku? Although Hashirama was confused, he had no time to think too much at this time. He had to interrupt, otherwise when Naruto activated Sage mode, he would really be unable to stop him. He wanted to maintain the 4 purple flame formation and couldn't take action himself, so he created a wood-style clone and sent the clone to interrupt Naruto. But the wood-style clone had just been created, and on Naruto's side, Sage mode had already been completed. Orange eye shadow appeared in the corners of Naruto's eyes, and the pupils in his eyes turned yellow with a horizontal bar in the middle. Sage mode, launched successfully. What a genius. He entered Sage mode so fast, he almost caught up with me. It's a pity that such a person was forced out of Konoha by monkeys, alas. Hashirama couldn't help but sigh. Advertisement now, he has the urge to grab the 3rd Hokage out of Shinigami's belly and whip him with a whip. The 4 purple flame formation should be unable to stop him. Hashirama knows Senjutsu himself, so he clearly knows how powerful Sage mode is. We also know how the ninja's strength will improve after entering Sage mode. It's a pity that this weak body prevents me from displaying my strength. We can only let Orochimaru use Impure World Reincarnation again, but I don't know what his new sacrifice is. Looking at Naruto again, he is so handsome in Sage mode. His right hand was gathered above his head, and the magic chakra was gathered in the palm of his hand. A new Rasengan appears, quickly reaching the size of a regular Rasengan. But Naruto didn't stop and continued pouring chakra into it. The size of Rasengan is getting bigger and bigger, and finally it reaches a terrifying level. This Rasengan emits a dazzling blue light that can be seen very clearly even from the side of Konoha's wall. Naruto held up the Rasengan like an ant holding an apple. Sage art. Massive Rasengan. Naruto threw the massive Rasengan forward. Based on perception alone, Hashirama knew that this Rasengan was extremely powerful. The energy contained in it far exceeds the previous 9 tailed beast bomb. The 4 purple flame formation will definitely not be able to block this blow. Hashirama stopped blessing the 4 purple flame formation, bit his finger, and then pressed it to the ground with one hand. Summoning technique. 5-fold Rashomon. This time it is no longer the 3rd level of Rashomon, but the 5th level. Hashirama knew that the triple gate would never be able to block this attack, and it was even unknown whether the 5th gate could block it. The 5-layered Rashomon gate has stronger defenses as it goes to the back. Naruto's Sage art. Massive Rasengan arrived at the first door in a blink of an eye. The first door fell down immediately, followed by the second door and the third door. Destroy everything. The 4th door only lasted 0.1 seconds and fell down as well. Only the last door is left, but Hashirama knows that it can't be stopped. Not good. If this continues, this massive Rasengan will fly directly towards Konoha. For the first time, Hashirama felt powerless. At this point, he wanted to use the wooden golem jutsu, but unfortunately he couldn't. The weak body, the amount of chakra is too little, and the powerful ninjutsu cannot support it at all. He raised his hands, and immediately runes appeared in the air, forming a network, blocking Rasengan's path. If you want to destroy the village, I will never allow it. It will break through the wall and rush into the village, causing the collapse of buildings and killing a large number of civilians. Rasengan was wrapped in runes, then swallowed by space and disappeared. Big ball Rasengan, completely out of the way. The crisis is over for now. He really had no choice but to watch the big ball Rasengan fly towards Konoha. In the blink of an eye, big ball Rasengan arrived outside the Konoha wall. Hashirama's heart bleeds. Now, 2nd generation has used the same trick to transfer the big ball Rasengan. As for the more peripheral contract seal barrier, it has no defensive capabilities and is even more unstoppable. Flying Thunder God guides thunder. On the 5th level of Rashomon, I couldn't hold it anymore after holding on for 1 second. The next moment, Rasengan touched the rune, and the space immediately changed. Just then, Senju Tobarama appeared on the wall. Boom. Damn it. Hashirama looked ugly. On the Night of 9 Tails, 4th generation used this move to divert the 9 tailed beast bomb. Chapter 151. Senju Hashirama nearing its prime, boom. The explosion that resounded throughout the world came from dozens of kilometers away, and the ground shook uncontrollably, like an earthquake. On the streets of Konoha, the crowd screamed in fear, and there was chaos. Then, the wind howled. This is the wind created by the expansion of air caused by the explosion. Thousands of trees collapsed under the strong wind, like wheat that had been run over by a car, unable to stand upright at all. Sage art. The power of massive Rasengan can be seen in Madara. If Tobirama hadn't moved it, Konoha would really have suffered. In Konoha village, Hokage building, Hokage office. The battle was so fierce, it's been so long and it's not over yet. Can't even Hashirama-sama and Tobirama-sama be able to stop it? Orochimaru looked in disbelief. It's only been so long since the encounter in the Land of Waves, and Naruto's strength has already reached this level. Back in the Land of Waves, he was a genin who had just graduated from the ninja school and was as weak as an ant. But after only a few months of following Mizuki-kun, I have reached this level. Even in my heyday, I would not be a match against him. Mizuki-kun, how on earth did you do that? According to the information sent back by Jiraiya, all of the genin who took the exam in Phoenix Village were very strong, not weaker than the average jonin. Even the man named Da Shang, who was just an ordinary person a few months ago, can now fight Rock Lee back and forth, and even almost win. Geniuses such as Kakashi and Uchiha Itachi cannot reach this level. No, it's not their genius, but Mizuki-kun's teachings. Orochimaru was full of curiosity. He really wanted to know how Mizuki used to cultivate these genin. Thoughts ran through my mind. Forget it, now is not the time to think about this. If we don't take measures, Naruto will really come in. He sighed, stood up from his seat, walked out of the office, then went downstairs, and finally came to an underground secret room. He walked in alone and closed the door. The room was very empty, with no furnishings, except for a white Zetsu kneeling on the ground in the center of the room. Strictly speaking, a white Zetsu clone. White Zetsu was copied by Obito using Geto statue and Hashirama cells. White Zetsu has Hashirama cells in his body. It is perfect to be used as a sacrifice for the impure world reincarnation. Orochimaru looked helpless. Hey, I really don't want to be so tired, he sighed. Since being devoured by Mizuki for most of his life force in the Land of Grass, Orochimaru has really become an old man. Although it can't be seen from the outside, his body is really old and aged. The chakra in the body is also greatly reduced due to the aging of the body. For example, if you use reanimation jutsu 2 or 3 times a day, it will reach its limit. It won't work if I don't have to. He took out a scroll and spread it out. The spell of impure world reincarnation was drawn on it. He took out a part of Hashirama's body tissue and pressed it on the scroll technique. Summoning technique. Impure world reincarnation. As the seal was completed, White Zetsu was surrounded by the technique, and a large amount of dust flew up, wrapping around him. Ah, White Zetsu let out a shrill scream, but to no avail. Soon, the technique was completed. Senju Hashirama, replacement body completed. Shodai, are you satisfied with this new body? Orochimaru asked with a smile. Hashirama felt it for a while and said, although it is still not as good as the heyday before me, it is very close. Orochimaru wanted to say something else, but Hashirama interrupted him directly. Okay, stop talking nonsense. Uzumaki Naruto's offensive is very fierce. I have to stop him now. I am the only one who can stop him now. Advertisement. Hashirama strode away and rushed outside Konoha village as quickly as possible. Outside Konoha village, Naruto watched helplessly as Rasengan was being transferred away, and there was nothing Naruto could do. Does the Flying Thunder God guide minds? Then it should be the second Hokage who moved Rasengan away. Naruto studied the Flying Thunder God technique, and of course he knew that this S-class forbidden technique was created by second Hokage Senju Hashirama. Combined with the appearance of the first Hokage and looking at the ancient victory-style armor on the opponent's body, Naruto judged that the opponent should be the second Hokage. Neither first generation nor second generation can stop me from avenging Lil Sakura. Naruto's heart was filled with murderous intent. Once, after he learned about Sasuke, he advised Sasuke to let go of his hatred and not to be swayed by hatred. But now it was his turn, and he couldn't let go. This probably means, don't persuade others to be kind without suffering others' suffering. Only when you have truly experienced it can you know how painful and tortuous it is. By the way, where is the first Hokage? How did it become like this? Naruto looked at the disappearing first generation and the stranger remaining in the same place, feeling curious. Why have you changed? What happened just now? The lack of knowledge made Naruto's eyes darken and he couldn't figure out what was going on. But this did not prevent him from continuing towards Konoha. It's better that the first Hokage isn't here. In Sage Mode, Naruto's abilities are greatly improved, including speed. He ran towards Konoha as fast as he could. The Flying Thunder God technique still cannot be used. Although Tobirama's body has reached the wall, the contract seal barrier is still there, maintained by his shadow clone. On the wall, Tobirama looked at Naruto with murderous intent in his eyes. No matter who you are, if you dare to attack Konoha, I will kill you. Don't talk about the son of the fourth Hokage. Even if the fourth Hokage dares to harm Konoha, he will still be killed. Compared to Hashirama's kindness, Tobirama is much more cold-blooded. Water style. Water severing wave. He stood on the wall, sprayed out a high-pressure water column from his mouth, and rushed directly in front of Naruto. The speed was so fast that even Naruto in Sage Mode barely had time to react. At the critical moment, Naruto only had time to turn his body slightly to the left. It was this deflection that caused the water-severing wave that was supposed to penetrate the heart to penetrate the lungs. Hiss. Naruto took a deep breath, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Almost, his heart was shot through. He hurriedly liquefied his body, but Tobarama's water-severing wave hadn't ended yet and was cutting his body horizontally. To avoid heart damage, he had to liquefy. Tenyu gave him powerful vitality, but this technique had weaknesses. That's the heart. It doesn't matter if any other part of the body receives a fatal blow. Just like the secret technique of water transformation of the Ghost Lantern clan, it doesn't matter even if you suffer fatal injuries. Even if the head is cut off, as long as the body is liquefied and reunited, it can be full of life again. This is the terrifying aspect of Heavenly Resentment U's secret technique, which can be called immortality. But the heart cannot be seriously injured. A slight injury is fine, but it cannot be damaged. The vitality is stored in the heart. Once the heart is damaged and there are holes, the vitality will be lost quickly and the person will die. Even if it liquefies in time after being injured, it still cannot stop the loss of vitality. So close, Naruto was really scared. On the wall, Tobarama stopped the water-severing wave technique and looked at Naruto, who turned into liquid and then reunited into human form. Isn't he from the Uzumaki clan? How could he be the water transformation technique of the Oneidan clan in the Kingdom of Water? Advertisement. Could it be that his father, the fourth Hokage, is from the Oneidan clan? That's not right. The fourth Hokage's name is Namikaze Minato, and his surname is Namikaze, not Oneidan. Tobarama has never seen Tenyu before, so he is also very confused. However, during the attack just now, he noticed the small details of Naruto's body moving to the left. Whether it's the water transformation technique or not, from his dodge action just now, we can see that this technique is not invincible. The heart is his weak point. Thinking of this, Tobarama sprayed water wildly from his mouth, and the water-severing wave was directed at Naruto's heart. Earth Style. Earth Style Wall. Naruto clapped his hands and used ninjutsu to defend himself. Tsuchiryubi is a B-level ninjutsu, but with the blessing of Senjutsu Chalk, it has been upgraded to more than a level. A thick earth wall, no, it should be said to be a granite wall, rose from the ground, blocking Naruto's front. Tobarama's water-severing wave is equivalent to a high-pressure water gun and can cut steel plates. Although the cutting speed is not fast, it shows its strong destructive ability. The softest water, used well, can also become the strongest. Steel plates can't even hold up, let alone earth walls. When faced with the water-severing wave, earth walls are no better than tofu. However, what Naruto released now was no longer an earth wall but a stone wall. Still solid granite. Although it is not as hard as steel, it is not far behind. Facing this granite stone wall, the effect of water-severing wave is greatly reduced. Although granite is still damaged in the face of this high-pressure water column, the speed is very slow. At this speed, it would take at least half a minute for the water-severing wave to penetrate this granite stone wall. With the blessing of celestial beings, the power of ninjutsu has been qualitatively improved. Tobarama looked at the stone wall and couldn't help but sigh. Although the water-severing wave was blocked, he remained indifferent. Just being able to hold Naruto back would be enough. Behind the stone wall, Naruto clapped his hands. Ninja technique. Multiple shadow clone technique. He once again created a large number of shadow clones, numbering in the tens of thousands. With the blessing of the magical chakra, the effects of multiple shadow clone techniques have also been greatly improved. Countless Narutos spread out and rushed in all directions. With so many magic shadow clone, they will never be able to stop them. The main body will find an opportunity to break out of the barrier. When you enter Konoha village, find Orochimaru first, kill him and leave. As for Danzo, kill him next time you get the chance. Naruto didn't even know what Danzo looked like. He only heard Danzo's appearance described by Shin and Sai. He also knew that Danzo was an old coin who often hid in dark corners underground without seeing the light. Because of the obstruction of first generation and second generation, Naruto felt that it would be good if he could kill Orochimaru today. Tens of thousands of shadow clone, densely packed like locusts passing through the border, rushed towards the outside of the barrier. Naruto's body was mixed into shadow clone, randomly choosing a direction and moving outward quickly. But at the next moment, he suddenly realized that danger was coming. He hurriedly dodged to avoid it, but when he looked again, he saw that his left arm had been cut off and fell to the ground. It's second generation's water-severing wave. How is this possible? How did you find my body? Naruto was shocked. Shadow clone is a clone created by Chakra that has a physical body and is indistinguishable from its original body. Neither the Sharingan, the Byakugan, nor the Rinnegan can differentiate between the true form and the shadow clone. In the anime, Madara seems to have seen through Naruto's shadow clone. Except for Madara, no one else can see through it. Even Kagaya can't tell the difference between Naruto's true form and shadow clone. Generally speaking, if you want to find the true body in shadow clone, you can only rely on luck. But now Naruto has tens of thousands of shadow clone, but Tobarama directly found the original body. This can't be luck. Tobarama said with a cold face. I invented shadow clone technique. The difference between the original body and shadow clone is clearly visible in my eyes. You can hide it from others, but you can't hide it from me. So, it's useless to use this little trick in front of me. Chapter 152. Second Hokage with strong intellectual property awareness. What, you invented the shadow clone technique? Naruto looked shocked. Tobirama's face darkened and he said, you have learned multiple shadow clone techniques, but you don't know that I invented the technique? Who taught you this technique? I want to ask him how he teaches his disciples. Don't you even respect other people's intellectual property rights? Naruto was still confused and asked, did you really invent it? He didn't believe it. HMPH, Tobirama couldn't help snorting. I have worked hard to research something, but others doubt that I am not the author. Who can tolerate this B****ch? Not only the shadow clone technique, but also the flying thunder god technique was invented by me. Second generation has a very strong sense of copyright. He wants to argue with reason. Naruto said loudly, you're talking nonsense. The flying thunder god technique was obviously invented by my father, 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato. You actually want to take the ninjutsu that my father worked so hard to invent as your own. You are so shameless. When second generation heard this, they exploded. Fart. You actually called me shameless. Second generation only felt that there was an unknown fire burning upwards and the head was smoking. Angry, he yelled, kid, I've tolerated you for a long time. I invented the flying thunder god technique before Konoha was established. With the flying thunder god, I kill the garbage of the Uchiha clan like a chicken. You actually said that the flying thunder god technique was invented by the 4th Hokage. You are challenging my bottom line. I must kill you today. No one can stop you. And 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato, how dare you blatantly plagiarize my work? I won't be able to forgive him when he returns to the Pure Land. The second generation was furious, and Naruto, taking advantage of this moment, quickly slipped towards the edge of the barrier. He said that on purpose. In fact, when Mizuki taught him the flying thunder god technique, he told him that the flying thunder god technique was invented by second Hokage Senju Tobirama. His purpose in saying this was to make second generation angry. When anger rises, people will lose their reason. Although Naruto is usually stupid, when it comes to fighting, his IQ doubles. As expected, the second Hokage became angry, and Naruto also seized the opportunity to be temporarily untroubled by the water-severing wave. By the time Tobirama reacted and suppressed his anger, Naruto was already close to the edge of the barrier. Sage Art. Massive Rasengan. As he got closer, Naruto directly enlarged his moves to break the barrier. As long as the barrier is broken and the flying thunder god is not restricted, Naruto can completely let go and flex his muscles. And not only Naruto's body, but his shadow clone also attacked the barrier. Even if Tobirama tried to stop him, he could only stop one. The next moment, Hashirama's voice sounded from the air. Wood style. Cutting technique. I saw the ninja god leaping into the air, his silky black hair flying in the wind. He reached down and stretched out his hands. Countless wooden thorns fell like raindrops, densely packed, covering the entire barrier. Bang bang bang. In just one round, 99% of Naruto's tens of thousands of shadow clone were scattered. The remaining 1% reacted quickly and used TNUU in time to liquefy their bodies and avoid disaster. Naruto's body also used liquefaction to successfully avoid the attack of the cutting technique. Tobirama, just maintain the contract seal barrier and don't let him use flying thunder god. Leave the rest to me. Tobirama nodded and said, okay, come on. By the way, his weak point is his heart. Hashirama nodded, and the next moment, he clapped his hands and shouted, Sage Art. In just a split second, he managed to enter Sage mode faster than Naruto could. Advertisement: he has black stripes around his eyes, a black bullseye on his forehead, and his pupils are yellow on the outside and black on the inside. Naruto exited the liquefied state and returned to human form. Seeing the change on Hashirama's face, he was surprised. You can actually Sage mode. Hashirama didn't say much. He landed on the ground, clasped his palms together, and shouted loudly, Sage Art. Myojin Gate. As he finished speaking, a red torii gate like a gatehouse suddenly fell from the sky and landed above Naruto. Two pillars were embedded into the earth, with a beam above suspended above Naruto. Although the beam did not directly press onto Naruto, there was a strong suppressive force that trapped Naruto below. Naruto knelt on one knee, gritted his teeth, and pressed his hands on the ground to prevent himself from falling down. But the force of suppression was too strong. After holding on for 3 seconds, he couldn't hold on anymore and fell directly to the ground. Just wood can't trap me. Naruto shouted loudly, while using Heavenly Resentment U to try to liquefy again. But at this moment, he discovered that his chakra was out of control. Heavenly Resentment and U can no longer be used. What's going on? Naruto was shocked. Hashirama explained calmly. The Myojin Gate has its own sealing technique, which can seal the chakra of the person who falls within the spell. Not to mention ninjas, even if they are as strong as tailed beasts. The chakra will be sealed after being suppressed by the Myojin Gate. There is no doubt about the power of Mingshen sect. Even 10 tails couldn't move after being pinned down by the Myojin Gate. In the anime, during the 4th Ninja War, Hashirama used this move to pin 10 tails to the ground, unable to move. If Obito hadn't chosen to become 10 tails Jinchuriki, 10 Tails would have had no chance of getting out of trouble. Hateful. Naruto struggled, but to no avail. Every pillar of the Mingshen gate above his head could hold him down, unable to move. He was unhappy, but there was nothing he could do about it now. What should I do? He was a little panicked. I thought that after learning the Flying Thunder God and mastering the Heavenly Resentment U, I could almost walk sideways in the ninja world. After learning that little Sakura was dead, he came to Konoha in anger to kill Orochimaru and Danzo to avenge little Sakura. Unexpectedly, they were suppressed forcefully without even entering the gate of Konoha. Brother, this is a scourge, just kill him. Tobirama's voice was cold and emotionless. In Phoenix Village, Mizuki was preparing to leave after getting the answer he wanted from Kushina. It's time to go see Xiao Li. Xiao Li's injury needs to be cured and cannot affect the finals. There are still 3 grand returns this month that need to be completed to avoid missing time. Next month, the number of returns will be refreshed, so there is no use keeping it. By the way, what should I give Xiao Li? First of all, you have to save a chance. After you get the method to break the space barrier from the Kingdom of Whirlpool, give it to Xiao Li and return a stronger one, so as not to be unable to break the space barrier of Todemaru. Apart from this, there are 2 chances left. How about sending 8 inner gates? Mizuki has been coveting the 8 inner gates for a long time. After opening the 8 gate, his strength will be enhanced dozens of times. Elite Jonin level Might Guy, after opening the 8 gate, went straight to the 6 paths level and almost missed the finale with a kick. In addition, for Mizuki, if he learns 8 inner gates, he won't have to worry about dying even if all 8 gates are opened. Tianyu provides a large amount of vitality, enough to be immune to death. But even if you say that, if you really ask him to practice, he can't do it. Practicing the 8 inner gates requires a strong enough physique, which requires unremitting physical training. He doesn't have that much time to exercise. Maybe the system will return a quick one. So, it's such a happy decision that 1 grand opportunity will be given to 8 inner gates. The problem now is that Xiao Li has learned 8 inner gates. It seems a bit strange to Xiao Li to give away 8 inner gates himself. Forget it, no matter what Xiao Li thinks, I will deliver the 8 inner gates anyway. At worst, put it on his bedside while he's asleep. 3 times you will be given the opportunity to return. Once you will get 8 inner gates, and once you will get the space barrier cracking method. Advertisement. There was only 1 time left, and Mizuki was a bit confused. After much thought, he didn't know what to give. How about giving him the outer star? No, absolutely not. As soon as this idea arose, he was immediately rejected. The outer stars are too dangerous. At this time, he suddenly thought of Ultra Instinct. Yes, why don't I give him Kung Fu concepts? Just give him the kind that is simple, easy to understand, and easy to understand. Forget about the profound principles of Tai Chi. Xiao Li's brain is not very good at understanding it. It's best to have something that is simple, clear, and not difficult at all. Iron Palm, Iron Shirt, Jekundu. Mizuki's thinking immediately broadened a lot. Xiao Li drove from the 8 inner gates to the 5th gate this time, and as a result, the muscles and bones of his arm were damaged. This shows that his physical strength is still not enough. In that case, give him the Iron Shirt idea. The matter was decided happily. Mizuki was about to leave Phoenix Village and go to Rock Shinobi Village to fool Xiao Li. At this moment, he suddenly turned his head and looked at Fengying Tower. He felt the breath of the barrier, but the barrier was invisible and could not be seen with ordinary vision. But that's not a problem for Mizuki. Sharingan and Rinnegan turned on at the same time. With Fengying Tower as the center, a hemispherical barrier rapidly expanded outward. The expansion speed was extremely fast, and the entire Phoenix Village was covered in the blink of an eye. This did not stop, the barrier continued to expand, and soon it enveloped the entire Bird Kingdom. A barrier covers a country, and no one believes it. Phoenix Shadow Tower, inside the barrier room, Kushina is sitting on the ground. In front of her, a slightly transparent map model, 1 meter long and wide, floated. Looking at this thing, it's like looking at a contour map. This is the core of the barrier and the control center. There are small dots of various colors on it, some stationary and some moving. Green represents plants, white represents people, and blue represents animals. The white dots representing young people are brighter than the white dots representing old people. The green dots representing big trees are brighter than the green dots representing grass. It turns out that the brighter the dot is, the more life energy it contains in the corresponding organism. She looked at the location of Phoenix Village on the map. There's a very, very bright white spot here. If other people's white spots are fireflies, then this white spot is the sun at noon, so bright that it is blinding. Kushina knows that this white spot represents Mizuki. Naruto practices 10 Resentment U, and Kushina naturally knows the effect of 10 Resentment U. Such a strong vitality is truly inhuman. Kushina wiped the sweat from her forehead and breathed a sigh of relief. She continued to explore, wanting to know more about the purpose of the barrier. The perception barrier Mizuki gave me has a too large coverage area. If my chakra hadn't reached its limit, the barrier could have continued to expand. She retracted part of the chakra, and the barrier immediately shrank, eventually covering only the Phoenix Village. She left some chakra in the barrier, which was enough to support the barrier's continuous operation for 3 days and 3 nights. During this period, no one is required to supervise here. Through this barrier, she can sense all living things in Phoenix Village. She can also mark every life through the barrier. As long as you mark it well, once a strange aura from the outside world enters Phoenix Village, the barrier will immediately sense it and issue a warning. With this perception barrier, Phoenix Village no longer has to worry about someone sneaking in quietly. Mizuki, who was planning to go to Rock Shinobi Village, postponed his trip and came to the barrier room immediately. Has the super large sensory barrier finally been deployed? Chapter 153. Mizuki arrives. Dying Naruto. The super large sensory barrier was returned to the system obtained from Xiao Li last month. Compared with the 5 major villages' sensory warning barriers that can only cover one village, Mizuki's super large sensory barrier has a much wider range. The range of the barrier can cover the entire planet at most, and all life energy within the barrier can be sensed. There are no dead ends in the sea, land, air or under the ground. No living creature can escape the perception of the barrier. Li Yu has basically no research on techniques such as barriers and seals. Other people in the village also have very little knowledge in this area. Only Kushina has inherited the sealing technique of the Uzumaki clan and is naturally familiar with the barrier. Most of the 4th generation seal and barrier knowledge comes from Kushina. Thank you, Kushina said with a smile. Mizuki has been waiting for this moment for a long time. He urgently needs this barrier to find Sasuke. Now, the barrier is finally complete. It can cover the entire planet, so finding Sasuke is easy. After all, it's impossible to search every corner with Shadow Clone. But the barrier covers all directions, and no corner within the coverage area can escape detection. Kushina, you should try the barrier's function of finding people first. I don't know if it works or not. Kushina nodded and said, then let's see if we can use the barrier to sense Naruto's position. Finding people with this enchantment is also very simple, just use hair or nails. Hair and nails, there is a residual breath of life in them. The barrier can use this weak breath of life to find people with the same origin. Kushina took out yellow hair, which she found on Naruto's bedroom bed. She tossed her hair into the barrier core in front of her. Kushina turned to Mizuki and said, Naruto is in Rock Shinobi Village, which is far away. We need to expand the coverage of the barrier. My chakra is only enough for the barrier to cover the bird country, and it cannot be extended further. So, it's up to you. Mizuki nodded and entered chakra towards the core of the barrier. As more and more chakra was input, the scope of the barrier began to expand rapidly, extending to the territory of the Kingdom of Earth in a blink of an eye, and continuing to extend. The coverage area is getting larger and larger, and the core, map, has not become larger, but the scale is changing. The same range of 1 meter long and wide can accommodate more and more real areas. It's almost like the zoom in and zoom out function of a mobile phone map. More and more light spots appear on the map. It's so densely packed that it makes people suffer from trypophobia. Kushina hurriedly manipulated the barrier, leaving only white light spots and all other colors of light spots disappearing. Soon, the edge of the barrier has spread to Rock Shinobi Village, and the entire Rock Shinobi Village is also covered by the barrier. But strangely, the map didn't respond at all. What's going on? Naruto isn't in Rock Shinobi Village? Or are you saying that this barrier is for bluffing and cannot be used to find people? Kushina also frowned slightly. I have studied this barrier for so many days and have thoroughly studied it. It can definitely be used for positioning and searching. There's only one reason why Naruto isn't found right now. She said solemnly. Naruto is not in Rock Shinobi Village. Could it be that, just like before, Naruto was taken to Mount Myoboku? Kushina's eyes flashed with anxiety. A cold light flashed in Mizuki's eyes, and he also immediately thought of Mount Myoboku and Gamamaru. Don't worry, it doesn't have to be Mount Myoboku. I will continue to inject chakra, expand the range of the barrier and see. He injected more chakra, and the area covered by the barrier continued to expand, and soon spread to the location of Konoha Village. Suddenly, a very bright white dot appeared on the map and kept flashing. Found it, in Konoha. Kushina beamed. As long as it's not on Mount Myoboku. Advertisement. Mizuki was confused. If Naruto couldn't stay in Rock Shinobi Village, why would he go to Konoha? Mizuki asked. Can you sense what's happening over there? Kushina shook her head. No, this barrier can only sense the breath of life, and cannot detect it in more detail. Mizuki. Then let me go over and take a look. After saying this, Mizuki used the Flying Thunder God technique to fly directly outside Konoha Village, where Naruto was. But the Flying Thunder God was activated, but his body was still in place. Not moving. It's just a bit embarrassing. What's going on? Why did Flying Thunder God fail? He was so frightened that he rushed out the door, flew high into the sky, and turned around to look around. I just thought that Gamamaru had left Mount Myoboku and arrived at Phoenix Village. But after looking around, there was no sign of Gamamaru at all, so he knew it was a false alarm. If Gamamaru really came, he might not die, but the Phoenix Village he built would be destroyed. This village is my own hard work, so I can't just destroy it casually. What is going on? Since Gamamaru didn't come and there was no space-blocking barrier around, Mizuki became curious. Why can't I use Flying Thunder God to fly to Naruto? Could it be that Naruto's space is blocked? He hurriedly used disapparition to an eagle flying in the sky, and the next moment, he and the eagle swapped places. Apparition works. Immediately afterwards, he used Flying Thunder God at close range and teleported to the roof of Fungying Building. Flying Thunder God works too. Sure enough, the problem is not on my side, but on the other side of Konoha where Naruto is. The space is blocked. He didn't know there was such a thing as a contract seal barrier, he just thought that the space over there was blocked, preventing the Flying Thunder God from flying directly there. Gamamaru is in Konoha. Mizuki frowned, feeling wary of Gamamaru. But now there is a space blockade on Naruto's side, and it seems that he is trapped. If he doesn't go, Naruto will be taken away again. The only one who can seal off space is Gamamaru. He was hesitant to go and save Naruto. If you go over there, it's probably a trap. Don't let Naruto fall into it himself without being able to rescue him. After all, who knows what new methods Gamamaru has prepared waiting for him. But if he is not saved, Naruto will be taken to Mount Myoboku again. No, Naruto cannot be allowed to be taken to Mount Myoboku again, and Gamamaru must not be able to obtain the secret technique of Tung Yu. The reason why Gamamaru looks like a Buddha and sits there without moving is because it is old and has a short lifespan. As you get older, your bones become brittle, and if you move too much, you will die quickly. But if it can learn the heavenly resentment in you, gain a lot of vitality, and regain its youth, it will no longer have any scruples and can go wherever it wants. Until then, Mizuki is still having fun. If you are found by Gamamaru, you will still die. Moreover, the Phoenix village that was built so hard will be completely disbanded. Just then, he heard Kushina's shout, "Mizuki, Naruto's life force is draining. He must be in danger. Please, go and save him." Kushina looked anxious. As a mother, she was really panicked at this time. Mizuki frowned. Subconsciously, he thought Naruto was using the Heavenly Resentment U secret technique to inject life force into other people's bodies to achieve a healing effect. But when you think about it combined with the failure of Flying Thunder God, this is wrong. Naruto is really in danger. Advertisement could it be that Gamamaru had already obtained the Heavenly Resentment U from Naruto, and then killed and silenced him? No, Naruto can't die. Go all out, no matter what, we have to save Naruto. I have Senjutsu Chakra now. Although Gamamaru is strong, I don't have no chance at all. He couldn't let Naruto's soul enter the Pure Land, otherwise he would have few apprentices, and he was an extremely qualified apprentice, and he would have no chance to deal with Gamamaru. Before leaving, he asked one last question. Kushina, have you sensed any other powerful life forces near Naruto? Kushina shook her head and said, no, near Naruto, there are only first generation and second generation, but both of them are bodies of impure world reincarnation, equivalent to dead people. Dead people have no vitality. Mizuki nodded, but didn't relax. Gamamaru's realm is too high, and maybe even the sensory barrier won't be able to detect its existence. He activated Flying Thunder God again, and his body disappeared from the spot. When he reappeared, he was dozens of miles away from Konoha. Then he directly entered the hollow state and quickly approached Konoha. Flying in the air, the field of vision is naturally good. In the distance, he could see the light yellow barrier and the huge red Mingshen gate in the barrier. Under the Myojin gate, Naruto lay on his back, suppressed by an invisible force and unable to move at all. A kunai was inserted into his heart, and a large amount of green life force overflowed from the wound. At this rate, Naruto would lose all his vitality and die if he persisted for half an hour at most. Second Hokage Senju Tobirama, beside Naruto, with his hand on Naruto's abdomen. The red Nine Tails chakra was continuously drawn out of Naruto's body. Not far away, first Hokage Senju Hashirama, facing Konoha village with unbearable eyes. Although he couldn't bear it, he didn't stop second generation. When they were still far away, Mizuki turned around and looked around, and he breathed a sigh of relief when he found that there were only first generation and second generation. Gamamaru isn't here. I feel relieved now. Mizuki is most worried about Totemaru. That old toad is cruel, poisonous and has many tricks. To be honest, Mizuki is really worried. Although he has escaped from Gamamaru several times, now he has the life-saving skill of Kamui Hollow. Logically speaking, I have nothing to fear, but God knows if that old toad will come up with new tricks to restrain Kamui. There is a saying that goes well, there is no invincible ninjutsu, every ninjutsu has flaws. We have to guard against it. Now that he found that Gamamaru was not there, he breathed a sigh of relief and flew over immediately. As for Naruto, he wasn't worried. Anyway, he won't die for a while. Even if he dies, as long as his soul does not enter the Pure Land, Mizuki can use the Rinne Tensai technique to resurrect it. It turns out that this barrier blocked the space. I thought it was really Totemaru. Speaking of which, this barrier is amazing. It can disable the Flying Thunder God technique. It must be a masterpiece created by second Hokage. He raised his right hand, wind style, spiral shuriken rapid prototyping. Both first generation and second generation have Senshin Ninjutsu, and the two of them discovered it before Mizuki even got close. There is simply too much chakra in Mizuki's body, which is too conspicuous. They turned around and noticed Mizuki's movements. Brother, it will take 10 seconds to lift the seal of Nine Tails. It cannot be interrupted during this period. You stop Mizuki and hold him for 10 seconds. Hashirama nodded and said, don't worry, leave it to me. The next moment, Mizuki threw the spiral shuriken in his hand and flew towards the barrier at high speed. Hashirama clapped his hands together. Wood style, wooden golem jutsu. In front of the barrier, a wooden golem stood up, stretched out his big hand, and slapped the oncoming spiral shuriken to the ground from top to bottom. Chapter 154. Rescue Naruto, First Generation Second Generation Target Transfer. This wooden golem can be described in 2 words, strong. There is no doubt about the power of the wind-style spiral shuriken. But in front of wooden golem, he was slapped to pieces. Simply outrageous. Mizuki looked at Senju Hashirama behind the wooden golem, feeling the terrifying aura exuding from Hashirama, and understood. Compared to the previous battles in Konoha, Hashirama is much stronger now. No wonder in the anime, Hashirama's explosive momentum can scare Suigetsu to the point of melting. It is indeed not something that ordinary ninjas can handle. It seems that Orochimaru changed a body for the first generation. The only one who can achieve this level is White Zetsu. The current first generation should be close to its heyday during its lifetime. Feeling Hashirama's power, Mizuki's heart also surged with fierce fighting spirit. With such a ninja god, even if you lose in a battle with him, it is still an honor. Didn't you see it? Kakuzu threw a kunai at Hashirama from 800 miles away, and it was able to blow for decades. The previous Hashirama's strength was only average cage level at best, but now, a proper super shadow is not far away from 6 paths. Of course, even Mizuki really wants to have a hearty battle with Senju Hashirama. Don't pursue bells and whistles, just a head-on battle. But looking at Naruto who was being pulled away from 9 tails, he felt that the battle should be discussed later. The top priority was to break the barrier and rescue Naruto. Mizuki raised his hand, and the Rasen Shuriken appeared again, but this time, he did not throw it, but held it in the palm of his hand. Then his body disappeared from the spot and appeared at the edge of the barrier. Apparition. He is outside the barrier and can use space ninjutsu at will. Hashirama can't stop him at all. Holding the spiral shuriken in his hand, he pressed it towards the barrier. Before it even touches the barrier, the powerful cutting force seems to cut it into pieces. Don't even think about it, Hashirama shouted in a low voice. They had fought before, so Hashirama knew Mizuki's methods very well, so he had already made preparations. Ninja technique. 4 red yang formation. Sounds sounded from 4 directions at the same time, and the next moment, a crimson barrier rose. Stick to the outer layer of the contract seal barrier and keep it firmly within it. Hashirama has already arranged 4 wood-style clones, waiting for this moment. Mizuki's Rasen Shuriken struck the 4 red yang formation, spinning and cutting wildly. The red barrier squirmed and deformed under the attack of the spiral shuriken, but it remained strong and showed no signs of being broken. In fact, the counterattack power of the 4 red yang formation quickly killed Chuck with the Rasen Shuriken. In less than 3 seconds, the Rasen Shuriken exhausted its chakra and completely dissipated. 4 red yang formation, really strong defense. Mizuki wasn't surprised either. Even the 10 tailed beast bomb couldn't break the 4 red yang formation used by the 4 Hokages together. Although the current 4 red yang formation was only performed by Hashirama's 4 wood clones, its defense power was more than 10 times worse. But the Rasen Shuriken is less than 1% more powerful than the 10 tailed beast bomb. It is normal that it cannot be broken. 10 seconds, 3 seconds have passed, but Mizuki is still outside the barrier. Although for Naruto now, even if he loses 9 tails, it won't hurt. Even without the influence of 9 tails on chakra and will, Naruto may have a better future. But Mizuki felt that Naruto, who lost 9 tails, lost his soul. Therefore, 9 tails cannot be extracted. Advertisement. Even if it does come out, it has to be put back in again. Since we can't defeat it from the front, let's get rid of the fire under the cauldron. Left eye Eternal Mangekyo, open. He looked at a first-generation wood clone that maintained the 4 red yang formation, with a high pupil skill and soul life, and enveloped it. Those with high soul life and medium-level skills cannot perform any ninjutsu. Its essence is to disrupt the chakra so that the practitioner cannot effectively control the chakra. Hashirama said. Not good, however, the wood clone that maintained the 4 red yang formation could not move. Hashirama could only watch as the wood clone, which was targeted by Sharingan, lost control of the chakra. The 4 red yang formation requires 4 people to maintain it, and it won't work if one person is missing. In an instant, the barrier collapsed. As this is Sharingan pupil skill with high soul life? As the intelligence said, it can make people lose control of chakra. He does have many methods, and they all work wonders. The 4 red yang formation was broken, and Mizuki once again used the wind-style spiral shuriken to break the contract seal barrier. Time has passed 5 seconds. Hashirama clapped his hands again and shouted, wood style, wood dragon technique. As soon as he finished speaking, the ground shook where Mizuki was, and the next moment, a wooden dragon emerged from the ground. The wooden dragon opened its mouth and swallowed Mizuki. The spiral shuriken in Mizuki's hand has just taken shape and is about to attack the barrier. The wooden dragon bit him, but Mizuki remained indifferent. The next moment, Mulong swallowed Mizuki into his mouth. Watching Mizuki being swallowed by the wooden dragon, Hashirama frowned slightly, feeling something was wrong. What was his purpose in being swallowed by the wooden dragon on purpose? Obviously, if Mizuki wanted to hide, he could definitely dodge easily, but he chose not to dodge and let the wooden dragon swallow it. This is unreasonable. Hashirama was confused, and then he saw that after the wooden dragon passed by, Mizuki was still there, intact. It was obvious that the wooden dragon passed through Mizuki's body without touching it at all. What is this? A shadow? Hashirama subconsciously glanced around, looking for Mizuki's true form. Little did he know that the shadow he thought was the real Mizuki. It's just Mizuki in Kamui Hollow state. After Wood Dragon and Mizuki staggered, Mizuki immediately exited the hollow, and the Rasen Shuriken in his hand finally attacked the light yellow barrier. The contract seal barrier is not a defensive barrier, but a seal-type barrier with basically no defensive capabilities. The spiral shuriken attacked the barrier, and in an instant, the barrier was shattered. What, not a shadow? Hashirama's expression changed. What kind of ninjutsu is this? Just now, when he passed through the wooden dragon, it was clear that he had no entity. But now, he broke through the barrier, and it is clear that he has an entity again. Can the body switch between reality and reality at will? The barrier was broken, and Mizuki immediately sensed the flying thunder god mark he had set on Naruto. This shows that it is indeed this light yellow barrier that blocks the effect of flying thunder god. He didn't fly directly to Naruto. After all, the Mingshen gate is still there, and even 10 tails can suppress it. If he flies directly down there, wouldn't he be throwing himself into a trap? Apparition. Tens of meters away from the Myojin gate, Mizuki suddenly appeared. Seeing Naruto in a coma, Mizuki felt very unhappy. First generation and second generation are so cruel, they can attack a kind boy like Naruto. Second Hokage, let Naruto go immediately. While speaking, his left eye Sharingan was already focused on second generation. The pupil technique has high soul life, and it takes effect immediately. Advertisement second Hokage immediately felt that the chakra in his body was no longer under his control. He didn't care, and turned to Mizuki and said, "It's useless, the seal has been released, and 9 tails will be separated from Naruto's body. 9 tails belongs to Konoha and should return to Konoha." Mizuki stopped talking nonsense and opened the Rinnegan in his right eye. He raised his hand, pointed in Naruto's direction, and shouted in a low voice, "Universal pull." A suction force appeared, and Naruto's body floated up from the ground, flying towards Mizuki. Tobirama reached out and grabbed Naruto's ankle, trying to keep him in place. But the suction force was so strong that he couldn't hold him back at all, and was even carried flying towards Mizuki. Just then, Hashirama arrived. Also arriving was the huge wooden golem. The wooden golem fell from the sky, landed in front of Mizuki, stretched out his big hand, and grabbed Tobirama and Naruto in the palm of his hand. Although the power of universal pull is great, it is of no use when faced with such a behemoth. Huh. Looking at Senju Tobirama standing in the palm of the wooden golem, Mizuki chuckled. The next moment, his and second generation's positions were swapped. Coming to Naruto, there was a bang next to Mizuki, and a shadow clone appeared. Then, he activated Kamui. The space quickly distorted, vortex-like space ripples appeared, and Naruto was quickly sucked into the Kamui space. The golden Rinnegan level Kamui absorbs it more than 10 times faster than Obito's Sharingan Kamui. Shadow Clone also followed in. Naruto's seal was lifted by second generation, and if it's not dealt with, 9 tails might really come out. Mizuki's series of movements were as smooth as flowing water. Hashirama and Tobirama had already reacted, but it was too late to stop them. Seeing Naruto disappear, Hashirama could only control the wooden golem to shake hands and want to crush Mizuki to death. But before wooden golem's grasp could tighten, Mizuki had used disapparation again, switching places with Tobirama. Ah! With a scream, Tobirama was squeezed into the palm of wooden golem's big hand and turned into meat paste. But the body of impure world reincarnation is immortal. As the dust like confetti gathered, Tobirama returned to its original state, safe and sound. "Brother, can you pay attention?" Tobirama looked up at Hashirama with resentment on his face. "Although you won't die, it will have a psychological shadow, okay?" Hashirama scratched his head and laughed. "Ahaha, mistake, mistake. Don't worry, be careful next time." Mizuki stood on the ground and did not leave. Naruto was rescued, so it was time for a good fight. He wanted to see who had stronger hard power compared to Senju Hashirama. The brothers Hashirama and Tobirama also looked at Mizuki condescendingly. Tobirama suddenly asked, "I can feel the space vortex just now. It is an independent space over there. Did you invent the ninjutsu? Or was it your Rinnegan Ijutsu?" As the inventor of the Flying Thunder God technique, second generation's research on space ninjutsu is far beyond that of ordinary ninjas. He can feel the Kamui space on the other side of the space vortex, which makes sense. Mizuki said, "Naruto was rescued by me, shouldn't you be disappointed? Why do you care about my jutsu?" Tobirama, "Just a casual question. As for Uzumaki Naruto and 9 tails being taken away, it's not a big deal. Since you are here, let's transfer the killing target to you. In comparison, you are a much greater threat than Uzumaki Naruto." Tobirama looked at Mizuki with murderous intent on his face. Hashirama, who stood above the wooden golem, was equally murderous. Chapter 155. The fastest man in the ninja world, he appears. Kamui space. Naruto was lying on the ground, the kunai inserted in his heart had been pulled out. But the heart is damaged and life force is still being lost. Mizuki's shadow clone, standing aside, he also tried to treat Naruto, but it was useless. The damaged heart was completely necrotic and could not be repaired. This is the only weakness of secret technique Tianyuan, and it is also a fatal weakness. Once the heart is damaged, life force begins to drain outward, and it cannot stop until all life force is lost. At this rate, it will be over in half an hour. I don't know what I'm doing. If you don't come in now, you won't miss the time. He looked at Naruto quietly, focusing on Naruto's abdomen. The seal of 9 tails was broken by second generation. Logically speaking, this process is also irreversible. But just now, the overflowing 9 tails chakra suddenly stopped and all shrank back. Shadow Clone knew exactly what was happening inside Naruto. In the sealed space, the iron fence that had been opened has been closed again. Outside the iron prison door, 2 people, one tall and one short, stood in the water. Inside the iron prison door, 9 tails stared intently at the back of the most handsome man in the ninja world who suddenly appeared in front of him. 4th Hokage. Why are you here? You are obviously dead. 9 tails was lying on the ground, showing surprise at Minato's appearance. Although, the seal that was originally half untied was repaired by the man in front of me, causing it to lose the chance to leave here. But it didn't appear angry, because it knows that even if it goes out, it will not be free. The Senju Hashirama outside once pressed it with his hand, saying that it was very strong, and then sealed it in his wife's body, letting it bid farewell to its free and happy days. Minato turned his back to 9 tails and ignored it, but quietly looked at Naruto in front of him. Naruto, I'm sorry. Minato's eyes were full of tenderness, but also filled with endless apologies. As soon as Naruto was born, he and Kushina passed away. Minato was heartbroken when he thought about Naruto living the life of an orphan since he was a child, helpless and unable to experience the love of his parents. Naruto looked at Minato without blame or resentment. Kushina has told him everything and he fully understands what his parents did. Dad! Naruto shouted with a smile. Unlike the anime, Naruto punched Minato when they first met. Although the sound of Dad sounded a little uncomfortable to his ears, it really made Minato's heart melt. Naruto, you. Minato has 1,000 words. He wanted to know Naruto's growth process, what Naruto had gone through, what Naruto liked to eat, what games he liked, what kind of friends Naruto had made, whether he had a girlfriend. But at this moment, he knew it was not the time to say that. Naruto, what happened? Why was 9 tails seal released from the outside? Naruto did not answer, but asked, Dad, if you knew that I defected to Konoha, would you blame me? Defection. Minato's thoughts suddenly change. But looking at Naruto's clear eyes, Minato couldn't feel any blame in his heart. Advertisement he had already guessed that Naruto must have suffered a lot of humiliation in Konoha, and even his entire childhood was unfortunate. Otherwise, it would be impossible to defect. He smiled and said, Naruto, no matter what you do, Dad will support you. Naruto breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. The worries that have always been in my heart are gone. In Naruto's heart, the 4th Hokage is a hero and an idol. Later, after learning that the 4th Hokage was his father, Naruto admired Minato even more. He hopes that everything he does will be recognized by his father. Now that Minato recognized him, it gave him great relief. He said, 3rd Hokage deliberately concealed the fact that I was your son, connived with Danzo, and promoted that I was a demon fox in Konoha, causing everyone in Konoha to hate me. Since I was a child, I have lived with cold eyes, not enough to eat, not enough clothes to wear, no friends, no one to talk to, and no one to play games with me. The smile on Minato's face faded. There was confusion, anger, and helplessness in his eyes. The kind faces of the 3rd generation flashed in his mind. But this kind of kindness seemed so false to him at the moment. Minato forced the corner of his mouth, showed a warm smile, and comforted. It's all my fault, Dad. It's Dad who has offended too many people. 3rd generation conceals your identity because it wants to better protect you. Naruto shook his head and said nothing more. No fool would believe this. He also knew that Minato was comforting him, and he also knew Minato's love for Konoha, so he didn't blame Minato. But it's okay. Then I met Mr. Hand. He didn't mind me eating ramen. I met Mr. Mizuki. He didn't care that I was a bad guy. He taught me ninjutsu and cared for me. I met Sasuke. Even though he always followed me, I argued, but he was one of the few people in school who never said I had no parenting, and he, like me, lost his parents and was lonely. Minato listened silently to Naruto's story. When we were on a mission in the Land of Waves, Master Mizuki told us the truth, and Sasuke and I decided to leave Konoha with Master Mizuki. Later, Master Mizuki took us to the Kingdom of Birds and established the Phoenix Ninja Village. He taught me the Rasengan, taught me the Flying Thunder God technique, and taught me the secret technique of Heavenly Resentment U. In just a few months, I went from being at the bottom of the school to becoming a strong person comparable to Jonin. Listening to Naruto's words, Minato smiled again. Feeling the joy in Naruto's heart, Minato was even happier. Mizuki, thank you for taking care of Naruto. Minato no longer remembers who Mizuki is. After all, when he died, Mizuki was just a genin with no sense of existence and was not worth remembering. But that doesn't stop him from thanking Mizuki. Although Mizuki defected with Naruto, Minato could not bear any hatred or dissatisfaction towards Mizuki. He protected Konoha with his life, but the 3rd generation's actions chilled him. He didn't owe Konoha anything anymore, he just wanted Naruto to be happy and grow up healthily. Naruto continued. I will remember Master Mizuki's kindness to me. However, what I am most happy about is that Master Mizuki allowed me to experience a mother's love that I have never experienced before. Minato's face froze after hearing this. Well, Naruto, the Mizuki you were talking about, is a female? Naruto. Of course not, Minato asked awkwardly. Then why? You said he made you experience maternal love? Since he is a man, shouldn't he let you experience father's love? Could he be that sissy? After Minato finished speaking, he felt extremely embarrassed. Although Kushina once called him a sissy when he was a child, he was still very resistant to these 3 words. Naruto chuckled and said, "Guess." Minato's vision went dark, as if he had been struck by lightning. It's over, advertisement. Naruto follows a sissy. What will he do when he grows up? Do you pinch your orchid fingers when you talk to others, and do you twist your buttocks when you walk? Thinking of this, Minato couldn't stand it anymore. He looked towards Naruto's hand, his eyes couldn't stop looking up and down. At this moment, Naruto clapped his hands and shouted, "Ninja technique, seduction technique." There was a bang, and in the smoke, Naruto turned into a beautiful girl with twin tails without any clothes. There was a thud sound, and Minato fell to the ground with his head stuck in his head. Behind the cell door, Nine Tails snorted, rolled his eyes, and lay down with his eyes closed to rest. Ha ha ha, Dad, you will also fall into this trap. I will tell Mom later that you were dishonest. Naruto bent over and slapped his thighs with his hands, laughing loudly. The transformation technique was then released, and Naruto returned to his normal form, but still smiling. Minato stood up and shouted loudly, "Naruto, this is not okay, men are men, how can you be a sissy? And this ninjutsu, you must never use it again in the future." Minato looked serious, this bad habit must be corrected. At this moment, Naruto stopped laughing and put away his impurity. "Dad, don't worry, I was just joking with you. Master Mizuki is not a sissy. As for the maternal love I am talking about, it is true maternal love. I also said just now that I would tell my mother about the fact that you were tricked into making a fool of yourself." When Naruto said this, Minato immediately realized something. Is Kushina still alive? No, this is impossible. Naruto said, "Dad, you guessed it right, Mom, she was indeed resurrected and is now in Phoenix Village, the country of birds." Minato said loudly, "This is absolutely impossible. How can a dead person be resurrected?" Naruto said, "It would be impossible for others to do this, but Master Mizuki is omnipotent." "Do you know Rinnegan?" Minato nodded and said, "Rinnegan, the legendary eye of the Sage of Six Paths. And I heard from Mr. Jiraiya that he had 3 disciples in the Land of Rain. One of them, Uzumaki Nagato, owned the Rinnegan. Unfortunately, Nagato later died, and the whereabouts of the Rinnegan are unknown." Naruto said, "Master Mizuki, his right eye is Rinnegan." Because many of the things Naruto said were only known to him and Kushina, and no one else could know. At this moment, he longed for family reunion. Master Mizuki not only resurrected my mother, but also resurrected several people. Resurrection of the dead? Minato was shocked. Mom really came back to life, and she told me about your past. For example, on the first day of school, when my mother said on the podium that she wanted to be a Hokage, she was shouted at by others as Red Pepper, and how she was kidnapped by Cloud Shinobi. The process of your rescue afterwards. He looked at Naruto in front of him, and thought of Kushina who had been resurrected, and he unconsciously began to look forward to it. Seeing that Minato didn't believe it, Naruto immediately said, "It's true." The more Naruto talked, Minato completely believed that Kushina was really resurrected. Resurrect me too. Among Rinnegan's pupil techniques, there is a technique called Rinne Tensai technique. Through this technique, the dead can be resurrected. Neji's father Hyuga Hizashi, Tsunade's mother-in-law's brother Senju Nawaki, and many Jinchuriki. Master said, "Dad, your soul is not in the Pure Land." Hearing this, Minato's heart became excited. Originally, Master Mizuki wanted to resurrect you, Dad, but he failed. Since Naruto knows this, Kushina's resurrection is most likely true. He felt that Naruto was telling a fairy tale. That's outrageous. Chapter 156. The Power of Rinnegan, Tengai Shinsei. Rinnegan's Rinne Tensai technique, resurrecting a person would cost a lot, right? Minato asked. Naruto nodded. Generally speaking, resurrecting others requires sacrificing one's own life. So, even if someone has a Rinnegan, they will not resurrect others because the cost is their own life. But Master Mizuki is different. The secret technique Tensai technique has the effect of absorbing the vitality of animals and plants. The absorbed vitality is stored in the body and can offset the side effects of Rinne Tensai technique. Minato breathed a sigh of relief and said, "In that case, I'm relieved." He felt that Naruto's body was seriously injured and dying. But since Mizuki can resurrect the dead at no cost, it doesn't matter. Anyway, you can be resurrected even if you die. My soul is indeed not in the Pure Land. Minato looked back at Nine Tails and said, "Back then, I used the Ghoul to seal technique, summoned Shinigami, and sealed Nine Tails. The price is that my soul becomes Shinigami's sacrifice and is sealed in Shinigami's belly. The Rinne Tensai technique can only resurrect souls in the Pure Land. So, Naruto, I cannot be resurrected." At this point, Minato's eyes looked lonely, although he wanted to reunite his family, and even wanted to give Naruto a younger brother or younger sister. After all, it is an unattainable luxury. Naruto saw Minato's expression and knew that Minato was frustrated. He smiled and said, "Dad, don't be sad. Master Mizuki said that even the soul in Shinigami's belly can be resurrected. But Master didn't say anything specific, he just told me to wait for an opportunity." Minato's eyes lit up after hearing this. Naruto said happily again, "By the way, Master Mizuki gave me a Rinnegan. When the Chunin exam is over, I will ask Grandma Tsunade to help me put it on. And I will also resent you. When I know the method, I will personally resurrect you, Dad." Looking at Naruto, who was looking forward to it, the smile on Minato's face grew wider. He patted Naruto on the shoulder and encouraged, "Okay, Dad is waiting for you. Dad, I believe in you." At the age of 13, Naruto received encouragement from his father for the first time, and he was extremely excited. He said excitedly, "Well, I will definitely succeed." After speaking, both sides were silent. Naruto suddenly asked, "Dad, I want to know, after you were resurrected, will you return to Konoha and continue to be the fourth Hokage?" Minato touched Naruto's head and said with a smile, "The fourth Hokage is dead. He died for Konoha. He owes Konoha nothing. If I am really resurrected, I just want to accompany you and your mother and enjoy an ordinary and happy life." Naruto looked up at Minato and nodded heavily. "Well, our family will definitely be happy." Inside the iron prison door, Nine Tails really couldn't stand it anymore. "I am alone, sealed here, with no one to talk to. These two people are really good. They're here to show the deep love between father and son and talk endlessly, which is simply too much." "Shut up. You two are so noisy." It roared loudly and kept pushing against the iron prison door with its claws, venting its dissatisfaction. Minato said, "This fox is too noisy, let's move to another place." As soon as he finished speaking, Naruto realized that the scene had changed. "Naruto, next, I will tell you about Nine Tails, including how to lift the seal, how to obtain and master the power of Nine Tails, and how to become the perfect Jinchuriki. Listen carefully. The outside world, outside Konoha village. The huge wooden golem stands like a mountain. Above wooden golem's head, Hashirama looked down at Mizuki. On wooden golem's left hand, Tobirama also had murderous intent on his face. Mizuki stood calmly, without any pressure. Advertisement. "The target has shifted from Naruto to me. You don't think I'm as easy to deal with as Naruto, do you?" At this moment, Tobirama said calmly, "What you rely on is nothing more than the Flying Thunder God and the apparition technique." The next moment, in all directions, light yellow barriers rose again. Mizuki immediately noticed that Flying Thunder God and disapparition could no longer be used. He chuckled and said, "Second Hokage Senju Tobirama is worthy of being one of the best in ninjutsu theory in the ninja world for thousands of years, comparable to the eldest son of Sage of Six Paths, Indra. Your barrier can only restrain the Flying Thunder God. After all, you invented the Flying Thunder God technique. You know the principles clearly, and naturally you also know the weaknesses. But my transformation is also restrained, which I can't understand." Tobirama said proudly, "The basic principles of the same type of ninjutsu are not much different. To me, this is nothing." "Okay, no more nonsense, Mizuki. You grew up in Konoha village, but later defected and caused several destructions to Konoha, resulting in the death of many villagers. Heinous crime. You must die today." Mizuki smiled and said, "Actually, I have a good impression of Konoha. My defection was not voluntary, but was forced. Don't you want to hear how third generation and Danzo forced me?" Tobirama shook his head, his face expressionless as always. "No matter what the reason is, it's too late to tell now. Perhaps your experience will make people sympathize, however, those villagers who died need your blood to pay for it." At this time Hashirama said, "Tobirama, how about we listen to him?" "Brother." Tobirama turned around and yelled, "How long has it been since my eldest brother was still so naive? Can't you be more mature?" Mizuki shook his head and said, "Since we have to fight, then I won't be nagging. Take the move." At this moment, chakra exploded on Mizuki, even forming a blue chakra coat. His hair was flying in all directions, and the Rinnegan in his right eye burst out with dazzling light. A terrifying aura erupted from him, with him as the center. Strong winds roared in all directions, and big trees were uprooted. A low voice resounded in all directions, "Ninjutsu, Tengai Shinsei." Hashirama and Tobirama, frowning at Mizuki. Although they felt that Mizuki had cast a ninjutsu, there was no sign of any ninjutsu around them. That's right, at this moment, they don't even know what Mizuki did. But the next moment, the sky suddenly darkened. What? Tobirama looked up at the sky and couldn't help but exclaim. Is this Rinnegan's power? A huge meteorite fell from the sky, and the oppressive feeling like a doomsday made Tobirama unable to breathe. The wooden golem is quite large, but in front of this meteorite, wooden golem is not enough. Not far away in Konoha, countless people looked up and looked at the falling stars in the sky, shocked to the point of losing their minds. What exactly is this? Is this a natural disaster? No, this is not a natural disaster, this is a ninjutsu. First generation in Nidaime, we're dealing with the invaders. A meteor appeared above the battlefield. It was definitely a ninjutsu. Is it Shodai's jutsu? Or is it the enemy's jutsu? Hashirama looked up at the falling meteorite and frowned slightly. At this point, Tobirama took action. Water style, water severing wave. Second generation sprayed out a high-pressure water gun from its mouth and shot it from bottom to top towards the meteorite, trying to chop it into pieces. But this is doomed to be in vain. Advertisement meteorite is not made of soil, but hard rock, and there is a large amount of meteorite iron. It is even harder than the granite earth flow wall that Mizuki used before. Unless, like the first generation, the second generation returns to its heyday, the ordinary ninjutsu he performs will really not be able to do anything against this meteor. Tobirama said to Hashirama, "Brother, you should take action. Within the contract seal barrier, my flying thunder god guide mine cannot be used." Hashirama nodded and said, "It seems that I can only use that move." He clapped his hands together, eyeshadow appeared around his eyes, and entered Sage mode again. Sage art. Wood style. True several thousand hands. The huge true several thousand hands rise from the ground, and their size is comparable to that of meteors in the sky. Mizuki had seen big scenes before, but when he saw the Senju Buddha, he was still shocked. He is truly the god of ninja. Hashirama's ninjutsu is all about big noodles. What is the birth of the tree world, the birth of the flower tree world, the five-fold Rashomon, wooden golem jutsu, wooden dragon technique? If it doesn't move, it will be an earth-shattering scene. Among all Hashirama's techniques, true several thousand hands is the most spectacular and powerful. Ordinary ninjas would be frightened when they saw this move. In comparison, Kakuzu can throw a kunai from 800 miles away, which is quite brave. Drink. Hashirama stood on top of the Buddha and shouted loudly. The arm behind the Buddha moved. Hundreds of arms, all clenched into fists, were like hundreds of giant dragons rising into the sky to face the falling meteor. Boom boom boom, the terrifying impact caused an explosion that resounded throughout the world. The huge meteorite was blasted by hundreds of fists and turned into rubble, then it fell down like a goddess scattering flowers. The Senju Buddha successfully defeated the threat of Tengai Shinsei with only 100 hands. It's really strong, Mizuki couldn't help but sigh. He was aroused to be competitive. Today I have to go head to head with first Hokage. Even if he loses hard, he still has to give it a try. Normal Tengai Shinsei won't work, so what about this one? The next moment, the aura emanating from him increased tenfold. Sage art. Tengai Shinsei, the 200 calories of magical chakra stored in the body were consumed instantly. On the Senju Buddha, Hashirama looked at Mizuki in shock and his expression changed. Just now, he felt the flash of magical chakra on Mizuki. You know how to sage mode, but why doesn't your appearance change at all? Mizuki smiled and said, "At this time, you are still in the mood to care about other things. I hope you can block the next attack." As he spoke, he looked up at the sky. The next moment, it was dark. A giant meteorite with a diameter 10 times that of before slowly fell down. There are still thousands of meters above the ground, and the changes in air pressure caused by it make many people breathless. To the people below, this meteorite looks like it is going to destroy the planet. If this meteor falls, the entire Konoha will be destroyed. Tobirama's face was serious. "Brother, we must block it." Hashirama also looked solemn and nodded. "I'm afraid I can't stop this move with just one true several thousand hands. The chakra consumed just now is almost enough to recover. In that case, let's do another one. Sage art. Wood style. True several thousand hands." Another Senju Buddha rises from the ground. Chapter 157. 1 against 2, absolute crushing and physical skills. Although Mizuki only has one Rinnegan, its pupil power is not as good as 2. But his Rinnegan is a golden Rinnegan, which contains a lot of pupil power, and the power of the pupil technique released is also huge. At this moment alone, it was stronger than 2 ordinary Rinnegan put together. Coupled with the power of the Senjutsu Chakra, Tengai Shinsei's move has reached an extremely terrifying level. If this meteorite really fell, the shockwave caused by the impact would probably exceed the explosion of the 10 tailed beast bomb. The nearby Konoha village will be destroyed, and even the entire Fire Nation will suffer heavy damage. Because it fell from the sky and relied on gravity, it had such an effect. Of course, with this attack, most of the chakra in Mizuki's body was consumed. Below, 3 people looked up. Hashirama summons 2 giant Buddhas with 2,000 hands in total. Like wildly growing vines rising from the ground, heading towards the sky. 3 seconds later, a terrifying impact occurred at an altitude of 1,000 meters. Each punch landed like a missile exploding, blasting open the surface of the meteorite and creating piles of rubble. 2,000 fists landed on the surface of the meteorite at the same time, and the explosions created were superimposed, and the power was even more terrifying. Like a nuclear explosion, the side of the huge meteorite near the Earth was instantly mutilated, like a piece of cake with a corner cut off. The incomplete part accounts for about 1/3 of the total. A large amount of gravel fell, like rain, so hard, Hashirama couldn't help but say. The meteor just now was completely shattered with only 100 hands, and the damage was greatly overflowed. So much so that he thought that this meteorite was just a little bigger, and if the 2 giant Buddhas attacked it together, not to mention completely crushing it, but at least half of it would be destroyed. Unexpectedly, only 1/3 of it was broken into pieces. In other words, such an all-out attack would take 3 times. However, this blow had another effect, which greatly slowed down the falling speed of the meteorite. This speed is enough to launch 2 more attacks. Come again. Amidst Hashirama's loud shouts, the two Senju Buddhas retracted their arms and charged up another attack. There was another violent explosion, and after that, the meteorite was once again broken into 1/3. Only the last third remains. Come again. Hashirama takes control of the Senju Buddha and delivers the final blow. At this time, the explosion caused by the first blow, rubble and dust had fallen near the ground. Near the ground, the view was obstructed. Just as the Senju Buddha struck the final blow against the meteor, Tobirama moved. Water style. Water-severing wave. He sprayed out high-pressure water jets from his mouth, targeting Mizuki's heart. At the same time, there was also a giant Buddha arm, which also broke away from the other arms amidst the hunting wind and struck towards Mizuki's position. In the smoke and dust, two attacks came at the same time. The next moment, the water-severing wave penetrated Mizuki's heart, and the giant Buddha's fist hit Mizuki's head, creating a huge crater 4 to 5 meters deep in the ground. While dealing with the meteorite, they did not forget to take the opportunity to launch a fatal attack on Mizuki. Successful, Tobirama's mood finally fluctuated. He, who had always kept a straight face, actually smiled at this moment. Hashirama looked up at the meteorite that was completely shattered in the sky and shook his head. No, his chakra is still active, and the attack just now did not work. Tobirama's smile suddenly faded, and he immediately felt carefully. Sure enough, Mizuki's chakra is indeed very active. Advertisement: this level of activity is definitely not something that a dead person can possess, which shows that Mizuki is not dead at all. How can this be? The water-severing wave clearly penetrated his heart, and the Buddha's fist also hit his head, which was enough to smash him into a pulp. Under a double sure kill, there is no reason why he should still be alive. Tobirama couldn't figure it out. Hashirama thought of the scene where Mizuki passed through the wooden dragon outside the barrier. At that time, he suspected that Mizuki had mastered a ninjutsu that could make the body hollow and immune to all attacks. Now it seems that his suspicion is most likely true. When the Buddha's fist was raised, Mizuki's figure reappeared, intact, with not even dust on his clothes. It's indeed hollow. Hashirama looked solemn. Tobirama also murmured, body hollow? I seem to feel the power of space. This kind of hollow is like escaping the body into another space, leaving only the shadow of the body in place. Could it be the space that sucked Naruto away before? In an instant, Tobirama made a rough analysis. In his mind, he also began to think about how to deal with this hollow technique. But after thinking for a long time, he couldn't figure out the reason. In this case, wouldn't he be invincible? No, this is impossible. Every technique has flaws. It's just that there is too little information to analyze it at the moment. Tobirama clapped his hands again. Water style. Water-severing wave. Since there is too little information, we should conduct more tests and obtain information from the battle. High-pressure water jets are coming. Mizuki raised his right hand slightly and shouted softly, Shinra Tenjung. The repulsive force appeared, and the water-severing wave seemed to have hit an extremely hard wall of air. It was unable to get close at all, and was pushed back, with water droplets scattered all over the ground. At the same time, the two Senju Buddhas summoned by Hashirama also collapsed due to exhaustion of energy. Hashirama landed on the ground and stood side by side with Tobirama, watching Mizuki from afar. Brother, what should we do next? Hashirama said. Don't worry too much. His chakra consumes a lot. Although he recovers quickly, he will not be able to perform the powerful attack like just now in a short period of time. We are the body of impure world reincarnation, we don't have to worry about injury and death. So, let's fight with close physical skills. His hollow cannot last forever. Find an opportunity to deal with him in the gap of his hollow. The information said that his physical skills are very poor. As soon as the words fell, the two of them rushed towards Mizuki, one on the left and one on the right, intending to attack him from both sides. Tobirama put his hand on his arm and summoned a katana with a bang. Hashirama is unarmed, he doesn't need weapons. Are you planning to do some physical training? Mizuki moves his fists and kicks. Then let me see the taijutsu of the Sengoku era. The two arrived at Mizuki at the same time, one on the left and one on the right, and attacked at the same time. Hashirama's fist hit Mizuki's face, and Tobirama's knife slashed Mizuki's leg. Mizuki didn't have hollow and planned to prove head-on. Sharingan, giving him super dynamic vision. The Golden Rinnegan, making his reaction speeds ultimate. In his eyes, the two attacks were in slow motion. He raised his left hand and easily caught Hashirama's attack. At the same time, he kicked his right leg to the side, and kicked Tobirama in the abdomen. Tobirama wanted to dodge, but was too late. He could only watch Mizuki's feet kicking into his arms. Bang! Tobirama's abdomen exploded, and his body flew backwards for tens of meters under the huge force, as smoothly as a kicked football. Advertisement: of course, the experienced second generation is not that easy to deal with. The moment he flew backwards, several transparent water needles were sprayed out from his mouth. 2 were shot at Mizuki's eyes, and the remaining ones were shot at Mizuki's heart, throat, wrists and other parts. Quick and accurate. An ordinary person would really be hit by such a sudden attack. But Mizuki's reaction was different from ordinary people. He reacted the moment Tobirama sprayed out the water needle. Shinra Tenjung. A small Shinra Tianjung. The water needle was ejected before it could reach it. On the other side, Mizuki pulled hard with his left hand, and Hashirama was pulled forward. Then Mizuki hit Hashirama's face with his right fist. Boom! Hashirama was also sent flying, rolling and sliding on the ground for a long distance before stopping. His face was sunken. However, Mizuki frowned. The feeling just now was wrong. He looked towards Hashirama, and sure enough, it was just a wood clone. When? The next moment, two hands burst out of the ground beneath his feet and grabbed Mizuki's legs and ankles. Earth style. Heart beheading technique. Mizuki was shocked and secretly thought that he was indeed the god of ninja. Neither his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan nor Rinnegan noticed when Hashirama used wood clone and when he drilled it into the ground. Power came from under his feet, trying to pull Mizuki underground. Unfortunately, this power is simply not enough. With the blessing of the golden Rinnegan, Mizuki's power has been increased 1,000 times. In normal state, it is comparable to the power in Sage mode. He pulled his legs up hard and jumped up. Hashirama was pulled out of the ground before he could let go. What a powerful force! Hashirama just sighed, and his hands could no longer hold Mizuki's ankles. The moment he let go, Mizuki's right foot kicked Hashirama in the head. Hashirama didn't have time to make any unnecessary movements, so he just crossed his hands in front of him, trying to block the kick. But Mizuki's kick was too powerful. He kicked Hashirama's arms where they were crossed, breaking the arms that Hashirama kicked, and then hit him in the face, causing his neck to snap back at 90 degrees. At the same time, his body flew out quickly under the influence of huge force. When he fell to the ground, his arms were completely broken. Fortunately, it is the body of Impure World reincarnation. Otherwise, even with Hashirama's self-healing ability, it would be a bit difficult to recover from such an injury. The attack from the two Hokages would have been difficult for anyone else to withstand. I'm afraid it's just second generation's water style. The water needles released by Tianchi technique can end the battle with one blow. But Mizuki took them all without any damage. It just feels like the two sides are not on the same level. Not only dodge and defense, Mizuki's counterattacks are also like thunder and rain, making it difficult to guard against. Hashirama and Tobarama both saw it, without any tricks at all. But even though he saw it, he had no time to react. Mizuki can do two things at once. He can block and attack at the same time without any conflict. This makes his attacks very sudden and gives no time to react. The close physical attacks of the two Hokages were instantly destroyed by Mizuki, and suffered a huge loss. Mizuki, on the other hand, acted like a normal person, not even taking a breath. That's it. Mizuki shook his head. Indeed, the neural reaction speed, which is 1,000 times faster than that of ordinary people, can no longer be described by humans. Even Namikaze Minato, the fastest man in the ninja world, can't match Mizuki's neurological reaction speed. Mizuki can't react as quickly as a cat, let alone a human. Chapter 158. Enough fun, get ready to end it. Such a fast reaction speed, this is simply not something humans can do. Tobarama's face was filled with shock. Hashirama's expression was also solemn as never before. He has yet to lose in taijutsu, and even Uchiha Madara, with the help of Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan's super dynamic vision, cannot take advantage of him in taijutsu duels. But today, in Mizuki's hands, he was defeated with just one move. Mizuki's strength moved him again. Ninjutsu and taijutsu have reached a level far beyond Kage level. It's unimaginable that this is a young man under 30 years old. Both Madara and I were so outstanding. Hashirama's eyes were filled with admiration. Mizuki's ninjutsu is very strong, and his physical skills are also very strong. Hashirama, the god of ninja, is a little ashamed of himself. It's a pity that the monkey forced him out of Konoha. Otherwise, it would be great for him to take over the will of fire, protect Konoha, and protect the peace of the ninja world. Hashirama's heart was filled with regret, but the past is gone and cannot be changed. Nowadays, both sides are enemies, and the only thing between enemies is life and death. Tobarama, use water-severing wave to interfere with his actions. Hashirama turned around and whispered. Tobarama nodded and sprayed high-pressure water jets towards Mizuki. He specifically targeted Mizuki's heart. Mizuki directly hollows the body and is immune to the damage of water-severing wave. It seemed that the water-severing wave penetrated his heart, but in fact it was all an illusion. Not a single hair was shaved off, but even so, Tobarama still kept firing the water-severing wave, and high-pressure water jets continued to spray out of his mouth, aiming at Mizuki's heart. It's simply a perpetual motion machine. Although it doesn't say that it crosses the heart all the time, it does keep track of it. Mizuki did not exit the hollow casually, lest Tobarama would seize the opportunity and shoot him through the heart at the moment of exiting. It's a bit annoying. He decisively dives underground, out of Tobarama's sight. But Tobarama can sense ninjutsu and can clearly sense his location based on chakra. Even if it goes underground, the water-severing wave still follows. Of course, due to the obstruction of the soil layer, the effect of water-severing wave is not that good. And it all depends on perception, so the accuracy is not that easy to control. Mizuki finally found a chance, exited the hollow, and his body immediately liquefied. The opportunity has come. Hashirama moved. Sage art. Myojin Gate, he shouted in a low voice. The next moment, a Myojin Gate fell from the sky and landed like lightning, pressing Mizuki's body underneath. Successful. Tobarama beamed. Hashirama nodded and smiled. Yes, it worked. I can feel that Mizuki is suppressed below, and his chakra can no longer be used. Saying that, Hashirama breathed a sigh of relief and finally stopped it. Tobirama also beamed with joy. The #1 person who destroyed Konoha was finally executed. Let's go and kill him. This kind of person must not be allowed to stay. Tobirama waved the katana in his hand, his face full of murderous intent. Hashirama nodded in agreement. A person as powerful as Mizuki who is on the opposite side of Konoha must not be kept. Must die. The two of them quickly approached the Myojin gate, but at this moment, Hashirama suddenly stopped and his expression changed. Wait, why'd I feel like something is wrong? Hashirama looked towards the Myojin gate and saw that the wood that made up the Myojin gate was drying up at a speed visible to the naked eye. In less than 5 seconds, the wood completely rotted and collapsed. What is going on? Hashirama saw this situation for the first time and had no idea what was going on. Mizuki used heavenly resentment to drain the life force from Myojin gate. Advertisement: the Mingshen gate is also made of wood, which contains vitality. If the vitality is sucked dry, it will naturally become a dead object, and the suppressive effect will disappear immediately. Brother, what on earth is going on? Tobirama couldn't understand either. Hashirama frowned and said, it's the life force. The life force in the Myojin gate has been sucked dry. Life force. The information given by Orochimaru did not mention that Mizuki could swallow life force. This is why Orochimaru deliberately concealed it, because he was afraid that his life force would be swallowed up and he would only have 3 years left to live. Although Hashirama and Tobirama can sense that there is not much chakra in Orochimaru's body, they cannot sense Orochimaru's lifespan. I understand, Hashirama said suddenly. I used the flower tree world to attack Naruto before, but after the poisonous pollen entered Naruto's body, it didn't work. At that time, I thought that Naruto had a constitution that was immune to poison. Now it seems that those pollen have absorbed all their vitality and become dead objects, so they have lost their toxicity. Tobirama nodded. When Hashirama said this, he understood. After confirming it before and after, the whole thing becomes clearer. No wonder Naruto managed to survive for so long after being stabbed through the heart. It seems that a large amount of vitality was absorbed and stored in the body in advance. There was too much vitality, so the time to death was prolonged. Let me just say, this Mizuki is obviously a young man in his late 30s, but he looks like a boy of 18 or 19. Tobirama was envious. This is simply the secret of eternal life. At this time, Hashirama said, absorbing life force to extend lifespan, this reminds me of the secret technique of Taki Ninja Village, Earth Resentment U. Tobirama also nodded. He also knew the secret technique of Earth Resentment in U. Hashirama added, the secret technique of Earth Resentment U is to steal other people's hearts to extend your life. And after you learn it, your body can turn into black tentacles. Its weak point is the heart. As long as 5 hearts are broken, it can kill people. Looking at Mizuki and Naruto, they can absorb life force to extend their lifespan and can liquefy their bodies. Their weak point is also the heart. It is very similar to the Earth Resentment U secret technique, but it is stronger and weirder. Tobirama immediately said, there is a 99% possibility that his secret technique is derived from the earthly resentment in U. Hashirama nodded. That is to say, in the liquid state, he is almost invincible. At this point, the two looked at each other. One thing they all understood was that Mizuki could only be suppressed or killed in a non-liquid state. What a monster with so many secret skills. It's space ninjutsu, hollow, and liquefaction. His life-saving ability is the strongest I've ever seen. Tobirama and Hashirama couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. At this time, Mizuki had exited the liquefaction and stood on the ground again. Does the skill stop here? Well, that's almost it. In that case, it's my turn. Mizuki has seen the power of the ninja god. He has had enough fun, there is no need to continue. Against the impure world reincarnation's body, ordinary taijutsu and ninjutsu attacks are useless. Some special means are required. For example, the black stick made by Rinnegan. A black rod came out of the palm of his hand, and then it was thrown diagonally into the sky. After it flew to the highest point, it fell diagonally downward again. Judging from its landing point, it is exactly where Hashirama and Tobirama are. Of course, a black stick can't do much. Ninjutsu Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. Around this black rod, a large number of shadow clone black rods appeared immediately, more than tens of thousands of them, overwhelming like locusts, pouring towards the two of them. Although they haven't made contact yet, Hashirama and Tobirama instinctively feel that this black stick is a threat to them. But it's not over yet. Mizuki's left eye, the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, is spinning around, and its pupil skills are high in soul life, covering Senju Hashirama. But the next moment, Mizuki frowned slightly. What's going on? Why is Gao Yuhan's life invalid? Advertisement Sharingan and Rinnegan, both can observe the flow of chakra in others. At this time, in Mizuki's field of vision, the chakra in Hashirama's body was not affected at all. High soul life can cause the enemy to lose control of the chakra, but now Hashirama seems to be fine. It's not because of impure world reincarnation. Tobirama had a high soul life before. Is it because of sage mode? High soul life can't work on people in sage mode? Wood style. Wood expulsion jutsu. Thousands of black sticks fell on the head, but Hashirama did not dare to drag out the opponent and directly used wood expulsion to defend. The black rod is a product of yin-yang release. It has the effect of blocking chakra and blocking the enemy's movements. It is also effective on tailed beasts. But this thing is not a truth-seeking ball after all, its attack power is not particularly strong, and it is easily blocked by wood expulsion. Even after blocking all the black sticks, not even a single mark appeared on wood expulsion. At the same time, he reminded, "Be careful, he is coming, don't get close to him." Mizuki flew in the air and quickly approached the two. He held a black stick in his hand, ready to kill the two of them at close range. Relying on the hollow, he successfully passed through the wood expulsion and came to Tobirama. "Start with you first." At this moment, Hashirama suddenly shouted, "Stop." Mizuki didn't stop. In 3 or 2 strokes, Tobirama's body was filled with black sticks, and his chakra and movement were blocked. Hashirama watched the entire battle and did not take the opportunity to make a move. After dealing with Tobirama, Mizuki turned to look at Hashirama and said, "What else do you want to say?" Anyway, Hashirama is not Naruto, Mizuki is not worried about being ignored. Hashirama looked at Mizuki and said, "Mizuki, from your past intelligence, I can see that you are a peace-loving person. You have a gentle personality, like to make friends, and are very caring. You often go to the orphanage to take care of orphans. All this shows that there is indeed a hidden secret behind your defection to Konoha." Mizuki raised his eyebrows. "Why are you talking about this now?" Hashirama continued, "I am the first Hokage, and I founded Konoha. The original intention of establishing Konoha was to end the chaotic Sengoku era and bring long-term peace and tranquility to the ninja world. Maybe you were disappointed with Konoha under Sarutobi Hiruzen, but that doesn't matter. As long as you love peace and are willing to work hard for the peace of the ninja world, then we are fellow travelers. Here, in the name of first Hokage, I invite you to return to Konoha." Tobirama. "I'm going to Blanche, brother, what are you doing? You invite such a vicious and dangerous person to return to Konoha?" Mizuki smiled and said, "This move is useless to me." Mizuki. And above the head, the Mingshen Gate is about to fall. Sage Art. Myojin Gate. Because there was an extra soul fighting for control, Mizuki lost control of his body for a moment. Do you think Konoha hasn't been destroyed enough by him? Good guy, you are so willing to give up. In this case, I will try my best to stop you. He was about to use heavenly resentment to liquefy his body, but at this moment, a soul suddenly appeared in his body and competed with him for control of his body. Hokage or whatever, whoever wants to be a Hokage can be one. It seems that you are determined to go against Konoha and destroy Konoha. Seeing Mizuki refuse so simply, Hashirama knew that it was impossible for Mizuki to return to Konoha. Yamanaka Haichi, Heart Turn Technique. I will help you redress the unfair treatment you and everyone in Phoenix Village have suffered. As long as you agree, then I will make the decision. Orochimaru will abdicate immediately and you will become the new Hokage. I have long lost interest in this rotten place like Konoha. Mizuki was also speechless. What does this mean? Joining if you can't beat him? No, that's not right, it should be, if you can't beat it, you'll be recruited? No need to talk nonsense. Chapter 159. History is always surprisingly similar. Looking at Mizuki, whose eyes were blank and his body was unresponsive, Hashirama was relieved. As long as the Myojin Gate falls and Mizuki is suppressed and sealed, he will no longer have the power to make a comeback. The Myojin Gate falls very fast, and it only takes 1 second to fall. Looking at Mizuki, he is actually not panicking. Villain dies because he talks too much. This sentence does not apply to him. He's not afraid of Kato Dan's spirit transformation technique, let alone the lower-level heart turn technique. Rinnegan, Human Way, Soul Extraction. Pain's 6 paths human path can extract souls and read memories. But now that time was running out, he did not have time to really extract Yamanaka Haichi's soul. Instead, he used the power of the human world to exclude Haichi's consciousness from his body. The whole process took less than half a second. This is due to his super-fast neural reaction speed. In short, he can do everything quickly. The Mingshen Gate is about to land. With only half a second left, it was too late to liquefy the body. It could only partially liquefy the body, but this obviously didn't help. As a result, Mizuki enters the hollow state. There are many methods, but one word stands out, Lang. The Mingshen Gate fell heavily. Hundreds of meters away, Yamanaka Hai, who had fallen into a coma due to his separation of consciousness, suddenly woke up, covering his head and crying in pain. How are you, Haichi? Nara Shikaku and Akamichi Dingza asked hurriedly. The two of them were confused and turned around. The technique was obviously successful, why did it happen suddenly? At this time, Hashirama breathed a sigh of relief when he saw the Myojin Gate falling to the ground. Finally, a big trouble has been solved, but as soon as he finished speaking, he saw Mizuki floating out from under the Myojin Gate. You. Hashirama looked at Mizuki, wondering why Mizuki was not successfully suppressed. Obviously, the timing and coordination are just right. Why? Mizuki said calmly, you underestimate Rinnegan's power. Universal pull. Gravity exploded, and Hashirama's body suddenly lost control of itself and flew towards Hashirama. Wood style. Wooden golem jutsu. But the wooden golem didn't appear, instead something fell above his head. It's Mingshen Gate. Mizuki floated out from under Myojin Gate again and looked at Hashirama with admiration. Such an honest first Hokage can also cheat. I shouted wooden golem, but what came out was Myojin golem, what a master. If his nerve reaction speed was not much higher than that of ordinary people, and he immediately entered the hollow when he sensed something was wrong, he would have really been hit by that attack just now. Hashirama sighed, impressed by Mizuki's quick response. Since you cannot perform ninjutsu after entering the hollow state, the universal pull is also interrupted. Hashirama resumed his action and immediately clapped his hands together. Sage art. Myojin Gate, Mizuki. This trick won't work on me, don't waste your efforts. Hashirama said. That's not necessarily the case. The next moment, there was a continuous sound of wind in the air. Mizuki looked up and immediately opened his mouth. What did he see? The densely packed Mingshen Gate fell like rain. He was so frightened that he immediately entered the hollow state. What the hell? Mizuki doesn't understand first generation's brain circuit. One Myojin Gate is useless, but more useful? But as a large number of Myojin Gates fell, forming a dense array of Myojin Gates, Mizuki seemed to know first generation's plan. I saw Mingshen Gate standing in a row on the ground without any blind spots. Is this creating a suppression zone across the entire map and preventing me from exiting the hollow for melee attacks? Indeed, the entire land was covered by the Myojin Gate, leaving Mizuki with no place to stay. As long as you are on the ground, there are Mingshen Gate above your head. Advertisement in this case, if he wanted to get close to Hashirama and attack him, he would not be able to do so. Because you cannot exit the hollow state, far beyond attacks, first generation has various means to resist. Mizuki frowned, feeling it was so tricky. He was flying in the air, looking down at the Mingshenman formation below. While watching, I scolded first generation in my mind for being shameless. Use powerful moves to destroy these Mingshen Gates? But what if it is destroyed? Hashirama is the body of impure world reincarnation, infinite chakra. Even if he is destroyed, he can continue to release it. Looking back at myself, although I have a lot of chakra and my recovery speed is not slow, how can I possibly outsmart the opponent? In that case, don't blame me for not practicing tolerance. He shifted his gaze to Konoha. It is not to destroy Konoha, but to use Konoha village as a hostage to force Hashirama to face the enemy. Below, Hashirama saw Mizuki flying towards Konoha and suddenly became anxious. Not caring about anything else, he chased Mizuki, moving quickly towards Konoha. We must not let Konoha suffer any more damage. When the two went away, another Mizuki appeared, looking at Tobirama, who was pinned to the ground with a black rod and unable to move. This is the true body, the one flying far away is just the shadow clone. I'll seal you first. Second Hokage's contract seal barrier is really annoying. If it weren't for this barrier, Mizuki would have had two more techniques, appearance and flying thunder god, and it would have been much easier to deal with Hashirama. Universal pull. Raising his hand, Tobirama was sucked into the air. Tobirama looked at Mizuki and asked, what is your purpose? To unify the ninja world and become the master of the ninja world? Or to destroy the ninja world? Mizuki said calmly, this has nothing to do with you. He didn't talk nonsense and just started, Rinnegan, Hell. Summoning technique. Hell King. Behind Mizuki, the ferocious-looking Hell King appeared, with the word, Wong, on his head very conspicuously. The way of the human world. Soul extraction. Mizuki placed his hand on Tobirama's head and extracted his soul. Hell King opened his mouth, stuck out his tongue, rolled up Tobirama's soul, and swallowed it. As a result, second Hokage can no longer be reincarnation by impure world. And the first generation, let's deal with it today too. At the same time, Shadow Clone had already flown over the gate of Konoha. Without any nonsense, he directly used wind-style spiral shuriken and aimed at the Hokage building. The spiral shuriken shot towards the Hokage building with a harsh cutting sound. Enemy attack. On the top of the Hokage, Anbu shouted in alarm. Orochimaru also came to the roof of the building immediately and looked at the spiral shuriken coming from the front. It's Mizuki. First generation and second generation didn't stop him. Orochimaru looked unhappy. An attack of this intensity cannot be blocked by ordinary ninjutsu. Feeling the chakra within his body, Orochimaru sighed. It seems that we have no choice but to risk it. Chakra, that should be enough. The Rasen Shuriken was approaching rapidly. On the way, many ninjas used ninjutsu to block it, but to no avail. The location of the Rasen Shuriken is a bit high, and the earth-style ninjutsu cannot reach it. Fire-style and wind-style can only enhance the power of the Rasen Shuriken. As for water-style and lightning-style, they are not suitable for defense at all. Lord Hokage, take action now. Your triple Rashomon should be able to block it. Orochimaru had an expressionless face, and with his current chakra, there was no way he could use the triple Rashomon. The Rasen Shuriken was already 100 meters away. In front of the Hokage building, more than 10 tall earth flow walls have been erected in an attempt to block the attack. But there was no suspense in the result. The earth flow wall was like paper, useless in front of the spiral shuriken. Even slowing down the flying speed of the Rasen Shuriken can't be done. Advertisement. This is the time. Seeing that the time had come, Orochimaru immediately moved. He jumped off the roof, stood in the open space in front of the Hokage building, bit the fingers of his left hand, drew a line on the palm of his right hand, bent down and pressed it on the ground. Ninpo. Summoning technique. The chakra in the body is consumed instantly. But the summoning technique was successfully performed. Bang. The smoke dissipated, and a large snake appeared with its head erect, taller than the Hokage Tower. It is the summoning beast of Orochimaru and the 10,000 snakes of Ryuchi Cave. Orochimaru, who allows you to summon me casually? You must prepare 200 human sacrifices today, otherwise I will definitely. She couldn't speak halfway through her words. It turned its head and looked at the Rasen shuriken flying in front of it, its head instantly buzzing. Orochimaru, you should. Ah! A shrill scream came from Shi's mouth, and the spiral shuriken hit it exactly 7 inches away. The snake scales were cut and fell off, and the snake meat was scattered like crumbs. But it wasn't over yet. The spiral shuriken cut through the skin and penetrated directly into the snake's body. Then, there was a bang, and it exploded. Poor snake, 7 inches of it was directly blown off. The snake's body was blown into 2 pieces, and the snake's head fell heavily to the ground. The vertical pupils, which were taller than a human, were staring right at Orochimaru, who was kneeling on the ground and panting. Orochimaru, you. This, B*********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** Orochimaru looked at this old guy and silently apologized. I inherited the will of fire and promised Mr. Sarutobi to protect Konoha. So, don't blame me. At this moment, I can only use this method. The chakra in his body has bottomed out, but fortunately there is still some left. Otherwise, he will follow in the footsteps of Wanshi. Above the gate of Konoha, Mizuki's shadow clone looked at the scene happening in front of the Hokage building, stunned. Oh my god, Orochimaru can do this? History is always surprisingly similar. Sasuke, come on, ask Ant Snake to collect the intellectual property fee. Looking at Orochimaru, it seems like he has consumed too much chakra. You can summon 10,000 snakes to block one Rasen Shuriken, but what if there's another one? As he spoke, the chakra in his palm gathered, and a spiral shuriken quickly formed. Just give me enough is enough. A loud shout rang out, and the next moment, Shadow Clone was penetrated by a wooden thorn through his body, and the sound of bang turned into white smoke and disappeared. Hashirama is back. Just now, he had sensed that Mizuki's body was where he was and started to attack Tobirama. But he didn't look back to save Tobirama. Compared to Konoha, Tobirama is not important. He knew that even Mizuki's shadow clone, Konoha, was unable to resist it now and could only rely on him to resist it. He jumped up the high wall and looked at the bodies of Wanshi in front of the Hokage building. He was relieved to know that the Hokage building was not damaged. He turned and looked outside, sensing Mizuki's position. There's enough time. He separated 4 wood clones, and they were wood clones in sage mode, all with eyeshadow. The 4 clones immediately moved towards the village, jumped quickly on the roof, and finally entered the building where the barrier team was located. This is the Konoha Barrier Control Center. I saw another small model of Konoha village on the table, and another hemispherical transparent shield covering Konoha. Master First Hokage, why are you here? The people from the barrier class greeted hurriedly. The 4 Hashirama clones said without any nonsense, next, I will control the barrier. The 4 of them came to the area around the barrier control center and sat down cross-legged. Boundary blessing. Sage art. 4 red yang formation. As soon as the words fell, the perception barrier around Konoha immediately changed, from being transparent to red. I saw a huge red hemispherical shield, covering Konoha below without any blind spots. The ninjas in the barrier class were shocked when they sensed the changes in the barrier. Boundary, can it still be used like this? Chapter 160. No way to start, turn around and left. A wood clone from Hashirama said, this large barrier covering the entire village was designed and built by inviting sealing masters from the Uzumaki clan when Konoha was founded. Under normal conditions, this barrier only has a sensory function. But the perception function is only the most basic function of this barrier. Once you encounter an invasion from a foreign enemy, you can add other enchantments or formations on top of the perceptual enchantment like I did. Up to 3 additional formations can be attached, and they will take effect at the same time. Hashirama's explanation opened the eyes of the ninjas in the barrier class. Someone asked, why don't we know the correct usage of such a powerful barrier? Yes, the enchantment class has been studying it, trying to strengthen this enchantment, and also tried to add other formations, but they can't do it. Wood Clone said, attaching other formations requires specific methods and involves the Uzumaki clan's knowledge of sealing techniques. It's normal for you not to know. The barrier function is too powerful, so I stipulated that only the previous Hokages are qualified to know. And when Tobirama passed the position of Hokage to the monkey before he died, maybe he was pressed for time and did not have time to inform him of the function of the barrier. What he didn't say was that besides him and Tobirama, his wife Uzumaki Mido also knew how to use this barrier. As for why Uzumaki Mido did not tell the 3rd Hokage about this until his death, Hashirama had some guesses in his mind. The Senju clan disappeared, and the country of Whirlpool was destroyed. Great, with this barrier, Konoha no longer fears invasion by foreign enemies. That traitorous ninja Mizuki is indeed powerful and has caused serious damage to Konoha several times, but with this barrier, you don't have to be afraid of him anymore. The 4 red yang formation is enough to keep him out of the village. Everyone is very excited, but Hashirama's wood-style clone shook his head. No, the 4 red yang formation alone cannot stop him. With the help of apparition and the flying thunder god technique, Mizuki can easily enter Konoha. Even without using space ninjutsu, Mizuki can use Kamui Hollow to pass directly through the 4 red yang formation and enter the village. Therefore, relying on 4 red yang formation alone is useless. Can't stop it? How is this possible? This is the legendary 4 red yang formation. Chunin, who had little knowledge, spoke up to express his confusion. Wood Clone shook his head and said, to completely isolate Mizuki, another technique is needed. As soon as he finished speaking, there were suddenly several roars of giant objects falling to the ground. The next moment, all the ninjas in the barrier class felt that they could not move their bodies, and the chakra in their bodies could not be mobilized. Some of them were in poor physical condition and fell directly to the ground, unable to get up. It's hard to even move a finger. The only ones who can still move freely are Hashirama's 4 wood clones. What happened? What happened? Has Mizuki already invaded the village? They didn't know it inside the house, but if they were outside, they could see 4 huge Mingshen gates standing side by side on the ground, completely covering the barrier control building below. The reason why the Kaikai class ninjas cannot move or mobilize chakra is because they are suppressed by the suppressive power of Myojin Gate. This scene was seen by countless people in the village, but no one understood the purpose of first Hokage doing this. Some ninjas even speculated that Mizuki had sneaked into the barrier class, and first generation was using magic to suppress it. In the barrier class, the 4 wood-style clones are forming seals. Soon after the seal was completed, the suppressive power of Mingshen Gate began to be absorbed by the perception barrier. At the barrier control center, above the hemispherical red barrier model, 4 Mingshen gates that seemed both real and illusory appeared. It was like the 4 Myojin gates suppressed the entire Konoha below. As the power of suppression was absorbed and reduced, the ninjas in the barrier class began to relax and slowly regained their ability to move. As for the outside world, all the ninjas in the village felt an extra force above their heads. This power made their chakra become so heavy and difficult to control that they could not even cast ninjutsu. Advertisement Hashirama incorporated the suppressive power of Myojin Gate into the barrier. As a result, the entire village was shrouded under the suppression of Mingshen sect. But Konoha is so big, the suppressive power of the 4 Myojin gates is only so small, and if it is spread out, the effect will be greatly reduced. Although the effect is poor, it is still effective. At least, for ninjas under the barrier, it is difficult to use chakra and cannot perform ninjutsu. Only Hashirama is unaffected, because Mingshenman is his technique. As long as Mizuki dares to enter the village, he will no longer be able to perform regular ninjutsu. The only ones that can be used are Sharingan Pupil Jutsu and Rinnegan Pupil Jutsu. But without the cooperation of chakra, relying solely on pupil power, the power of pupil technique will be greatly reduced. The only thing he can rely on is physical skills, but with physical skills alone, I can easily defeat him with 1,000 hands. High on the wall, Hashirama looked confident. He faced the outside of the village, watching Mizuki approaching quickly from the air, and waited quietly. Mizuki has seen all the changes in Konoha. First, he saw the 4 red yang formation covering Konoha, but he didn't care. I'm just curious about how Hashirama managed to incorporate the 4 red yang formation into the sensory barrier. But just now, he vaguely saw 4 huge Myojin gates appearing and disappearing in the sky above Konoha, which made him fearful. What exactly did Hashirama do? Are these 4 Myojin gates real or fake? Is it just Hashirama bluffing? I have to say that this technique of Mingshenman is really powerful. 10 Tails is so strong that it can be suppressed, so Mizuki certainly doesn't dare to face its suppressive power. So he is very cautious. It's a matter of life and death, don't be careless. Soon, he flew close, hanging outside the barrier, facing Hashirama through the air. Give up, Mizuki. If you want to destroy Konoha, I will never allow it, Hashirama said loudly. Mizuki didn't answer, but instead created a shadow clone. Immediately afterwards, he apparated. The positions of Shadow Clone and Hashirama on the wall changed instantly. Hashirama appeared in midair, and before he could react, several black rods were inserted into his body, blocking his chakra and movement. But after doing this, Mizuki didn't feel happy. It doesn't feel right. Sure enough, this Hashirama turned into wood. That's right. Knowing that I can change my appearance, it's normal to use Wood Clone as a defense. If my true form really shows up, I'd be surprised. At the same time, the Shadow Clone that entered the barrier immediately felt that chakra was out of control. He directly disbanded himself and fed his memory back to Mizuki's body. Nima, am I mistaken? Chakra really can't be used? He created dozens more shadow clones, and these shadow clones all entered the barrier through transformation and appeared in various locations in Konoha. It turns out that no matter where it is, as long as it is within the range of the barrier, chakra cannot be used. So, Mizuki turned and left. With this barrier around, if he wanted to cause some damage, he would have little chance. First of all, the 4 red yang formation is difficult to break. This is not a small formation that can be broken by relying on Rinnegan's sealing seal. 10 Tails tailed beast bomb can't be broken, let alone Mizuki. Secondly, chakra cannot be used within the barrier. If he rushes there, he will be beaten by Hashirama without any resistance, and he will die miserably. Forget it, the main purpose of my coming today is to save Naruto, and I also killed the second Hokage. This trip has been worthwhile, I don't ask for more. He had no intention of destroying Konoha. Once Konoha suffers huge damage, the Konoha shinobi who are outside will be recalled as soon as possible. Advertisement in that case, Xiao Li, who is in Rock Shinobi Village in the Land of Earth, will also be recalled and will not be able to participate in the Chunin exam finals. This is what Mizuki doesn't want to see. He also hoped that Xiao Li would pass the Chunin exam. After Mizuki eliminated Tobirama, he wanted to eliminate Hashirama as well. After all, Hashirama was still too strong and keeping him was always a hidden danger. But now he had no choice but to retreat. Naruto's life force is about to end. I have to go there in advance, otherwise I will miss the time and let his soul enter the Pure Land. Kamui activated, a space vortex appeared, and Mizuki was sucked into the Kamui space. On the Konoha wall, looking at Mizuki leaving, Hashirama breathed a sigh of relief. To prevent Mizuki from retaliating, this barrier cannot be withdrawn. At least it cannot be removed in a short period of time. He left the wall and soon reached the Hokage building. Orochimaru, call all the shinobi in the village to come here. I'm going to inject some wood-style chakra into everyone's body. With the wood-style chakra, you are not affected by the suppressive effects of the Mugen Gate. He pulled out another scroll and tossed it to Orochimaru. This is the scroll left by Tobirama. It records the principles of contract sealing. Find the right person to learn it. The more people who learn, the better. Mizuki is a dangerous person who has great malice towards Konoha. He will come sooner or later. We must master the power to resist him. Kamui space, Naruto is not dead yet. In the conscious space, he talked a lot with Namikaze Minato. This time, Minato had enough time to tell Naruto everything he needed to say. After the important things were said, Minato even told Naruto a story. Mizuki enters Kamui space. Soon, Naruto's life force was completely lost and his life was about to end. Once Jinchuriki dies, the tailed beast sealed within him will also die. No, you will feel the biting cold in the sealed space, which is a harbinger of death. But it doesn't care. It knew that Mizuki wouldn't let Naruto die. In fact, Nine Tails really wants Naruto to die so that it can also completely get rid of the seal through death. After all, tailed beasts can be resurrected. In a few years, it will be resurrected, and then it will be free again. I've worked hard to teach you to become stronger, but I'm not asking you to die. Okay, go back and tell your mother that you are safe. She is the one you are most worried about. If it weren't for some mistake this time, you would really be dead. You have to remember what happened today and don't be so brainless in the future. Mizuki smiled, then looked serious, and slapped Naruto on the head, knocking him to the ground. A strong green light enveloped Naruto, and his life that had been dormant was revived. Naruto lowered his head, reluctant to speak. On Naruto's body, Mizuki performed the Rinne Tensai technique. I met my dad and talked to him a lot. HMPH, Mizuki snorted coldly. I beat you to make you remember. Ah, it hurts. You actually went to attack Konoha. You are so awesome. When the green light dissipated, Naruto was intact. Master. Then he added. My dad is so handsome and gentle. Heretic. Rinne Tensai technique. Naruto covered his head and asked. Master, why did you hit me suddenly? You have just mastered some means, but you are blindly arrogant and think you are invincible in the ninja world, right?